I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal.
Oh, how do you feel about people calling you an industry plant?
Oh. Okay, you know what? I just want to hear the reasons why that's said.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about you?
That I literally came out of nowhere and I'm an industry plant.
And when they give those awards out, because the Grammys are supposed to be like accolades for artistic excellence, you get what I mean? Iggy Azalea is not excellent.
Most overnight success stories are lies, but not because they're fake, because you're only seeing the middle. Before the fame, before the interviews, before the image, there's a version of these artists nobody was paying attention to. This is level 1.
I've wanted to do this like my whole life, so I'm a little shaky.
The organic phase. Billie uploading to SoundCloud with no expectations, Lil Nas X posting online like it was all a joke, Tyler building a following that didn't even make sense yet, no label, no push, just something catching on for no clear reason. It feels random, like pure luck, like the internet just found them, and for a moment that's actually true. But that moment doesn't last, because the second the numbers spike, views, shares, traction, it stops being invisible. That's when people start paying attention. Not fans, industry. Not to create it, but to step in while it's still raw. So when you're watching these artists before they were famous, when it feels messy and real, you're not just watching the beginning, you're watching the last moment before everything changes.
Hi, my name is Billie, and this is Lucia. Come here, Lucia. Say hi. Hi.
Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell was born on December 18, 2001 in Los Angeles, California. Now we did a little research and Pirate is really one of her middle names. Yeah. The name Eilish is also the Irish version of the name Elizabeth. And her parents are actors Maggie Baird and Patrick O'Connell. Now Maggie is from a small town in Colorado while Patrick originally is from Norwalk, Connecticut. The couple moved from New York to sunny California and raised their family in the Highland Park neighborhood in Northeast LA. Now Patrick, he found acting work with appearances in Iron Man, The West Wing, and Baskets. Maggie, she's found work in LA Law, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and The X-Files. She at one point was even a member of the Groundlings comedy troupe. Where there? Well, she worked with none other than Will Ferrell. Billie's older brother Phineas, born in 1997, is also a musician and is currently the frontman of the LA band The Slightlys. As for acting, Phineas has found work on both Modern Family and Glee, as well as the 2014 film called Life Inside Out. This was alongside his mother Maggie, and we actually found the trailer.
If selling stickers and fun scissors to my friends wasn't my idea of a living hell, I would jump right into your multi-level marketing dream. But it's just not me.
Judging by pictures of the family, the O'Connell clan, they appear to be quite close. Maggie, she often travels with Billie around the world on her various tours. Gotta keep an eye on your young daughter, for real. Now, one of the things people usually notice off the bat is that Billie is not a huge fan of smiling. Commenting on her resting face, well, she stated, "I hate smiling, it makes me feel weak and powerless and small." But Billie, tell us how you really feel. No, Billie was a born performer. As a young girl, her parents took a video of her singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in the bathtub. You're probably wondering, what's so special about that? I mean, singing Twinkle Twinkle is pretty much a requirement for a kid. Billie, however, she could sing the song at a perfect pitch. Not me. As a little girl, Billie took part in a homeschooling program called Wish, and the kids here, they had the opportunity to take both cooking and sewing classes. It also gave her parents the chance to teach her music, with Maggie showing Billie the basics of songwriting and Patrick showing her how to play the piano. In an interview, Billie described her first time writing music as follows. "When I was 4, I wrote a song about falling into a black hole, but it was really upbeat. Like I'm going down, 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 down into a black hole. It went on and on. I found a recording of it." Due to her mother teaching her the structure of songs, she says she has always had an incredibly high standards for writing. If she didn't, well, she stated she would probably have written about 2,000 songs by now. Billie went on to describe that the first real structured song that she wrote was at 5. It was called Fingers Crossed and centered around a zombie apocalypse. You can hear the track on SoundCloud. Now, Billie's dad would normally make mixtapes for them comprised of artists from diverse genres. We're talking Avril Lavigne, The Beatles, Green Day, and Peggy Lee.
Peggy Lee has been like a huge part of just like my life.
Billie studied different rock genres through her early years until she discovered hip-hop music. From there, she got heavily into rap and R&B genres, particularly the works of an artist named Spooky Black from St. Paul, Minnesota. She has also gone on to talk about her admiration for Tyler, the Creator. He does anything he wants, really, and he doesn't care if it works out or not, which I totally completely admire. She has also stated that the album Goblin, it changed her whole entire everything, which I'm pretty sure means it inspires her music. Along with Tyler, she has cited Childish Gambino, A$AP Rocky, Lana Del Rey, Aurora, and Drake as her contemporary influences. Billie has mentioned her love for Drake several times in interviews, citing the motto as her favorite song ever. She once stated that she would like to give him a hug and possibly eat cheesecake with him. Alright.
Yeah, Drake would be down to eat some cheesecake, I feel.
She also had a love for horses as a young child. She wanted to take riding lessons, but her parents couldn't exactly afford them at the time. Dying to take the lessons, well, Billie worked for 2 summers at the stables until she earned enough money. Good for her. Billie was always creating. She had a passion for photography, taking her toy animals out to the backyard and shooting photos of them. She would often make music videos to other people's songs. She even made her own film when she was around 9 years old, based on one of her favorite TV shows as a kid. The short movie was entitled In Love, Psych. As well, entered into the 96-hour film festival. So, well, let's take a look.
I love Sean Spencer. Yeah, I do too. He's so dreamy. Yeah.
When she was 8, she was enrolled in the Los Angeles Children's Chorus, and we found a clip from her time in this collective, and if you look closely, well, you can't miss her. Billie also practiced dance. She would go on to local dance studio and be there sometimes 11 hours a week.
You're like a serious dancer, like no joke.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
In 2015, she pulled a growth plate injury while recovering from a previous injury to her groin. This ended her dancing aspirations. Instead, her main focus now went on to recording music. She and her brother Phineas, well, they started writing music together. Billie had always looked up to Phineas and considers him her best friend. She has gone on to praise her brother's writing ability, where she stated, "He's such a genius with writing, it's like walking for him. It's insane. I don't understand, I really don't. I really have to try to write a good song or something that I'm proud of, and I definitely have, but for him he's just a writer. And my mom is a writer, my brother is a lot like my mom, and I'm a lot like my dad. I don't know, they're both geniuses." The two work together on many different songs, with Billie often contributing to Phineas's writing with a sometimes much darker tone. Billie has been noted for singing from the point of view of a particular character. In the song Bellyache, she talks from the perspective of a serial killer. Deep stuff.
And then he was like, my friends aren't far, in the back of my car are their bodies, like you're in a car with your friends. And then I was like, no. In the back of my car lay their bodies. Like, I just killed all of my friends.
She enjoys this method of writing because it helps open her eyes. While being interviewed, she had this to say: "I've never met myself, you've never met yourself. So how can you know what other people think of you if you don't really try to put yourself in their place?" Jesus, I think this girl's a genius as well. While her older brother had faith in her, the kids at her age, not so much. Many people thought Billie's musical aspirations were unrealistic. A boy she had a crush on actually made a bet with his bandmates that she would flop and, well, they would take off. And boy, were they wrong, like in a big way. When she was just 14 years old, Phineas, he burst into her bedroom with a new song he had originally penned for his band. It wasn't working for the group, and he thought Billie would be perfect for it. Now, Billie, she recorded this song with the intentions of letting her choreographer use the track for his dance classes, but then she decided, well, what the hell, I'll upload it to SoundCloud. This was in November of 2016, and the song was Ocean Eyes. And all of a sudden, well, it became a viral hit. The success of Ocean Eyes, it opened up doors for Billie Eilish that she wasn't even expecting. She was signed to Dark Room and Interscope Records in November of 2016, and she began working on new music. In 2017, she released her debut LP, appropriately titled Don't Smile at Me. The 9-track effort featured Ocean Eyes, as well as the song Bellyache, Copycat, and Hostage. Don't Smile at Me charted in 11 different countries. The album's co-writer is none other than Phineas. 1 month later, her second EP, entitled Up Next Season, Billie Eilish dropped on streaming sites. She has collaborated with Vince Staples, Khaled, and became BFFs with the infamous Bad Baby. We just talked about her the other day on Famous News. Chick be throwing water, but she's nice to Billie. Nah, they're both the same age. She also performed live on Ellen and The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Her music also started getting featured on popular television shows like 13 Reasons Why and Shadowhunters, as well as promo videos for the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder boxing match. Deontay. Sorry, I said that wrong. Billie has mentioned plans to release her debut album sometime in 2018, and if she's sticking to her word, that means it should be out real soon. Cause seriously, Billie, time's running out. You know what I mean, kid? Now, as for a title, she has yet to announce one. Billie is touring with Florence and the Machine on their High as Hope tour from 2018 to 2019. She and Phineas, they currently co-host a podcast called Groupies Have Feelings Too, and it's on Beats One Radio.
This is my little place for where you can hear what goes on in my head and what comes out the other end. Not my butt, my mouth. Whoa, this is too much.
Billie has also joined Post Malone, Timothée Chalamet, and 21 Savage in Forbes 30 Under 30 list for 2019.
Thanks for watching me be a bozo.
Tyler Gregory Okonmo was born on March 6, 1991 in Los Angeles, California, although Tyler has adopted Boulder, Colorado as his second birthplace. He's even awarded himself the key to the city. And if you're wondering why Boulder?
What was it like growing up in these streets?
Sick, a lot of drugs, a lot of meth, hard time.
Tyler's father was completely absent in his life, leaving Tyler alone with his mother. Now, his mother says that the two met once at 12 years old, but Tyler doesn't remember the interaction if it happened. He references his father in much of his music, most notably on the song Answer. But his mother, she played a larger role in his upbringing, and she's actually half Canadian, so shout out to her. Now, his mom would play some jazz music around the house, which inspired Tyler to dive more into the genre later on. Tyler bounced between Ladera Heights and Hawthorne, California. He was always interested in creating things. At the age of 7, he was spending his birthday money on albums, and he would replace the album's artwork for his favorite CDs with artwork of his own imaginary albums. Now, he would even include track lists and song lengths. I guess he was executive producing before he even made a full song on his own. But he would write down rhymes in his notebooks at that age. Now, some of his early influences were the Black Eyed Peas, their first album, not sure if he means like their first album with Fergie or without her, also Eminem, Dr. Dre's 2001, and he claims to have even thought he was a young Usher at one point in time. Tyler was part of the gifted and talent enrichment program at his elementary school. He was one of 7 kids in the class, but it was also around that time that he saw a therapist for a short period of time. He told the New York Times, "I made lists of who I wanted to torture and kill in the class. I was a really smart kid, so they didn't understand. There was 7 kids in there, and I was one of them. It was just such a contradiction." At one point, he was taking Ritalin, but it interfered with his asthma medication, so he stopped.
And not funny, I have horrible asthma, so it's... You do? Yeah.
But Tyler says that music became his true form of therapy. At the age of 12, he started to make beats. His mom's friend gave him a version of the production software called Reason, and he would experiment with different sounds. Originally, Tyler's mom, she signed him up to play basketball, but he hated it. Instead, he focused on skateboarding. He got his first skateboard at 12 and taught himself by watching Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, because no one else around him liked to skate. And his first board, it was a blind. Now, after seeing Pharrell play the piano on DVD, well, Tyler was inspired to try it for himself, and at the age of 14, well, Tyler's mother bought him a keyboard. He taught himself how to play the piano and began his musical journey. At first, he only knew how to play with 4 fingers, but then he taught himself chords. He still can't read music, but when he first started, he learned how to play the first 8 bars of Outkast's She's Alive. And, well, he was pretty excited. He later taught himself the drums as well. Now, Tyler attended 12 different schools in 12 years, bouncing between Los Angeles and Sacramento after his mother moved there. Now, because of that, he didn't have many good friends growing up. And, well, he was a class clown, always loving to make people laugh. But he always felt like he didn't fit in. I mean, he was listening to Good Charlotte and Kenny G, and he loved skateboarding. I guess, you know, makes him... Kenny G's a little weird.
7th grade, they used to f with me. I wore black Slipknot and Good Charlotte tees. They used to call me white boy, and I hated that shit. Like, why can't I just be a human?
But while he was an outcast in school, he was making music to express his thoughts. He didn't tell any of his classmates though, he would just post it online. Now during his senior year, one kid he went to school with, well, he came up to him and started rapping some of his lyrics. And Tyler described the situation as a little awkward. While Tyler's mom was in Sacramento, well, Tyler stayed in LA with his grandmother in Ladera Heights neighborhood. Now Ladera Heights is often referred to as the Black Beverly Hills. Even Frank Ocean, he references the nickname on his song, Sweet Life. But Tyler's time there was far from the sweet life portrayed on Frank's album. Now he was sleeping on his grandmother's couch with no money. Well, he actually said he slept on the floor.
If you like live in Ladera and any of your shit got f***ed up, it wasn't us.
It really wasn't.
No, like dead serious, it wasn't us.
It was around this time that he found a connection with some people who he had similar interests with outside of school, including Jasper, Taco, and Lucas. Those guys would even let Tyler stay at their place and cook for him when he had nothing to eat. Now he would occasionally steal things from cars and sell them at pawn shops just to go to McDonald's or to get something to eat. While in school, his jobs included working at FedEx for a week and 4 days and working at Starbucks for 2 years. That is, well, until he got fired.
Starbucks was cool because I stole cheese danishes every day. This lady named Cindy, she was a new manager, she hated on me, and she fired me, and I hope she's watching because I still hate her.
And while there may be a little bit of animosity towards Cindy, well, Tyler cites that the firing was the greatest thing to ever happen to him. Not only because he ate 3 more danishes on his last day before he got fired, but because it gave him more time to focus on his art. Now at the time Tyler was posting his creative work onto MySpace, well, he actually had 3 different MySpace pages, but one of them, which included all of his creative thoughts and ideas, including sketches, videos, music, and more, well, it had the page name of Tyler the Creator. Then the page, it started to take off, but he just decided to stick with the name. And his graduation quote in his yearbook, well, it read, "Music is my life." Tyler attended community college in West Los Angeles where he was studying film, but he eventually dropped out to pursue his dreams on his own.
Like I have friends going to college for stuff that their parents want them to go for, and they're not even happy or anything, but they're just trying to please them, and in the long run, like, I mean, what's gonna be there? Your parents die and you're just stuck there, like.
But things would all change in 2007 when Tyler co-founded the hip-hop collective Odd Future, which consisted of photographers, videographers, rappers, producers, and more than anything else, friends, all with a common goal to create something legendary. Now at first, the name Odd Future was supposed to be a magazine that sponsored artists and covered all of his interests from skateboarding to art to colors. Yeah, colors. It was a concept that Tyler concocted in his sophomore year of high school, but after realizing that he didn't have the funds to create a magazine, he pocketed the idea. It was him, Left Brain, and Haji Beats originally, and he told Respect Mag in 2011 in an interview, "I like keeping shit in-house. I wanted my friends to be the ones taking the pictures of the people I'd interview, which were my friends who were skateboarders. I'd make advertisements to go in there instead of getting ads from some clothing line." The group would record at Taco and his sister Sid's house. Now Sid currently has a successful career as a member of the internet and as a solo singer. They had a nice place and their parents were very supportive of their art. So the crew, they would hang out there and create. They were sending their music to hip-hop blogs at the time, but no one was really responding very positively. Although today, being eccentric or different in the way you dress, make music videos, or rapped, well, it's almost encouraged. And you know, it's become the norm. Now at the time that Odd Future was bubbling, well, things were different. Besides Lupe Fiasco's Kick Push, skateboarding and hip hop wasn't a blend that you would find in the mainstream rap world. Now the group was ready to return to school following the summer and follow their dreams as a side passion project. That was until UK-based magazine The Wire, well, they got a hold of their music. The magazine wrote a feature for their September issue, and from there, well, the press kept flying. Then Fader wrote about them, then MTV came along.
Greatness to me is finally getting my video on MTV. It's on there now, and I'm happy. I finally got my shit on MTV.
Hypebeast was a huge original supporter as well after Tyler began posting on their forums. Now he credits their early support as a big reason why they were able to gain attention. But not all of the press was positive. While many raved about the creativity and new concepts explored by Tyler and the crew, many others were shocked by the content of their lyrics and videos. The New York Times put it nicely when they said in an article about Odd Future, "No act in recent memory has engendered so many think pieces about music. Think pieces about critics, and think pieces about think pieces. Are the group's lyrics reports of literal desires? The goofs of misguided kids? Does the difference matter?"
My lyrics aren't, I don't know, I'm sorry if I keep talking. My lyrics aren't offensive.
aren't they?
No.
Some people find them offensive, don't they? You've
Yeah,
heard that
some
before.
people find everything offensive.
There were lyrics that were taken to be homophobic and violent against women, receiving similar backlash to Eminem when he first came out. In 2008, they released their first project, The Odd Future Tape, online. And well, they started to build a die-hard fan base. Now a year later, Tyler, he began his solo endeavors with the game-changing mixtape Bastard. He produced 80% of the album using the Fruity Loops production software. But it was the video for Yonkers that had Tyler's name all over the internet for one reason or another. Whether it was the infectious beat, the wild rhymes about stabbing Bruno Mars in the esophagus, or the roach that he was eating. Something about that video, well, it caught your attention. It now has more than 112 million views on YouTube. Also, fun fact, well, the cockroach's name in the video, it was Nissan. Yeah, that's the question, from off the top. Now this music video, it really sent the already buzzing artist into a new stratosphere. He won Best New Artist at the 2011 MTV Video Music Awards. After releasing the video, he signed a one-album deal with British independent label called XL Recordings. The single was part of his debut studio album Goblin, which was released under the label. And that year, he also made his late-night television debut on Jimmy Fallon. Now that year, he also debuted a show he had been working on with his team called Loiter Squad.
Tyler here. Loiter Squad, Season 2.
The official show premiered on Adult Swim on March of 2012 and had appearances from everyone from Lil Wayne to Seth Rogen. Now Tyler's career after Goblin has been all about progression of sound, style, and self. After killing his guest verses on songs with Pusha T in The Game, well, his next studio release was Wolf, and that was in 2013. Now this time the album was released through Sony and Red Distribution, and it was some of Tyler's most honest and complete work yet. In fact, it even turned many people who weren't fans of his previous work into believers. You got what I said. Now the album, it sold 90,000 copies in its first week and debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 charts. Following that, he released his album Cherry Bomb, which included features from Lil Wayne and Kanye, and some experimental yet very musically heavy productions from Tyler. But while everything seemed to be going well for Tyler, he announced that he was actually banned from the UK for 3 to 5 years. He was forced to cancel his string of tour dates supporting Cherry Bomb. Now the ban allegedly happened because of some of the old song lyrics dating back to 2009. But the ban from overseas, it didn't slow down his momentum. He kept creating. He has stated that November of 2016 was the best time of his life, and referenced this time on his song November, where he asked fans what their November was. Now I'd only say my November, it's definitely in 2016. It's when this channel first took off. In August, we hit 1 million subs, probably around then. Now for Tyler, it was that November when he rented a house with his friends, and they would record and hang out and just have fun. Tyler debuted his show Nuts Plus Bolts on Viceland in 2017, and his album Flower Boy, it was released the same year to an extremely positive critical and fan reception. Now the album, it was even nominated for Rap Album of the Year at the Grammys. Now Tyler, he didn't drink at all in high school and said that he wouldn't have a drink until Grammys night. Well, I hope he at least had a sip because, the kid deserved it. The album did stir up some extra media attention as well. Because of the album, Tyler hinted at potential relationships with men. And coming from someone who previously accused of being homophobic, people were pretty curious. Plus, old interview clips like this, they started to have new meaning.
You think we'll ever have a gay rap artist?
Maybe one day. That would be, but that's why does that shit matter?
I know.
If he wanna dudes or whatever, why does that matter? Why do we care?
I've never figured that out.
That's so crazy, right?
But like Tyler said there, it's really nobody's business except for his own. Currently, Tyler is continuing to push himself creatively in all avenues of his life. He is about to release his new album, Igor. He has his flagship store on Fairfax in LA. He runs a yearly festival that has had big name acts like Kanye and Chance the Rapper perform at. And he's continuing to excel in all avenues from directing to soundtracks to films. And we have a feeling that whatever Tyler puts his hands on, it'll turn into gold.
Lil Nas X was born Montero Lamar Hill on April 9, 1999 in the Grady Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. Nas comes from a big family. He has 6 brothers, 5 of them being biological, and 4 sisters, 2 of them biological. He says growing up they would fight all of the time. I feel like it'd be hard not to with that many kids in a house. At around the age of 6, his parents split up and Lil Nas was staying with his mom and grandmother in the Bankhead Courts public housing complex in Atlanta. and that's where he grew up. But at around the age of 10, his dad won custody through what he calls a court battle, and Nas moved to Austell, Georgia to live with his dad. Finally, at around the age of 14, he moved to Lithia Springs, Georgia, a small community with a population of around 15,000. Unfortunately, Nas lost contact with his mother and doesn't know where she is or what she's doing today. But it was his father's influence that inspired Nas's music career. His dad was a warehouse worker, but was also a gospel singer. In school, Nas was academically gifted. He attended Alfred Blalock Elementary School, Lindsay Middle, and Pebblebrook High School, where he says that he graduated at the top of his class. Nas was advanced in all of his classes, but math was his favorite. He was attending West Georgia University, but dropped out 8 months ago to pursue his music career full time. When he dropped out, his dad wanted him to go back to school, stating there are a million rappers, and in this industry, the chances of making it are 1 in a million. Before rap, he worked jobs at Taco Bell, Six Flags, and Zaxby's, all within the span of a year. In his spare time, he loved watching cartoons, but before rapping, Nas loved to play instruments. He played the drums and trumpet. On coming up with his rap name, he said this: "It was originally Lil Nas just to be ironic because every new rapper's name has Lil. Kinda got stuck with Lil after building a small fan base, added the X later on, standing for the amount of years until I feel like I will be considered a legend." In terms of his rap career, it all happened pretty fast, and Nas described it as, "Honestly, I got bored last year and made a rap song. People liked it, I kept making them, but I didn't start taking music seriously until about my 5th song." And while he may be humble about his come up, it was a little more complicated than that. Looking back at his YouTube and SoundCloud accounts, he put out close to 20 songs online before his big break, which is still pretty quick for someone to make an impact, but the kid was putting in the work, and all of it didn't happen because of some huge coincidence. Nas used to sit and study how to go viral and how to use the internet as a marketing tool. He cited Young Thug as an inspiration for his country trap sound, but in terms of rap inspirations, he told us he honestly hasn't had a big inspiration from anyone. Rather, the internet as a whole inspired him. His first ever song online was a song called Shame. His first mixtape was called Nazarati, and while the tracks are still on SoundCloud, it was removed off of streaming services recently. He says that it wasn't just his dad's musical abilities that inspired him, but his willingness to pay for Nas's phone bill. By paying my phone bill, he allowed me to promote my music heavier on the internet through my Twitter account. My Twitter mutuals helped me out a lot too. He spent his nights promoting his songs online and coming up with creative marketing strategies to try and gain some traction. At first, nothing was working. He told Time magazine in an interview that he would probably get 3 hours of sleep staying up on the internet trying to promote my music at my sister's house before coming back home. I would sleep on the floor. I didn't want to come back home because I knew my parents would be mad at me. The lack of sleep caused him daily headaches, but he was so focused on finding a way to blow up online that he didn't care. At the time, his sister was fed up with Nas being over at her place all the time, and he could feel that there was some tension building. On December 4th, 2018, Lil Nas X posted a snippet of the song now titled Old Town Road onto his Instagram. People started to get curious about what sounded like a country trap song, and honestly unlike anything I've ever heard before, and the snippet started to make its rounds. It now has over 150,000 views on Instagram. A week later, Nas released the official song onto his Instagram using the app Triller with the caption, "Yeehaw." Nas bought the beat for the song from producer Young Keo's online beat store. Keo called it a throwaway beat from over a year ago that he had pretty much forgotten about. But once he heard the song playing in the background of an online video, he DM'd Nas and said that he wanted to help promote the song as long as he gave him his producer credits. And from there, things started to blow up with the memes flying. Nas actually memed himself before anyone else did, and it caught on as something so unique that people were drawn to it. Is it just me, or is it getting a little smoky in here? Stay tuned for a word from our sponsors.
You've all heard of Candy Pens, right? Well, if the name doesn't ring a bell, I got a good feeling you've seen them before. Now, Candy Pens was named Best Vaporizer of 2018 by High Times due to its combination of popular technology and flashy design. And Candy Pens, well, they've quickly become the go-to choice for vaping in the hip-hop and rap community. They've got some co-signs from DJ Khaled, Fatboy SSE, Young M.A., and Amber Rose. Even the one and only A$AP Rocky, yeah, he's got his own signature line called the Flacco Jody Collection. Now, Candy Pens has actually made me their YouTube ambassador, the one and only, and they've given me the ability to get you 25% off your entire order. Yeah, there's a link down below. Also use the promo code BTWF25, get some money back, enjoy your vaping. Remember, Candy Pens are for those 18 years and older.
It was actually through Twitter and TikTok that Nas's song started to blow up. It was originally posted on TikTok as a meme where people would basically transform into cowboys when the beat dropped on the song, and videos using the hashtag Yeehaw, which all have the song playing in the background, now have more than 67 million views on the app. And the song went to new levels when Justin Bieber posted a screenshot of the song onto his Instagram story saying, "This shit bangs." And it even played a huge role in the 2019 March Madness tourney as Texas Tech celebrated their victory by dancing to Nas's song. The song debuted at number 19 on the Billboard Hot Country charts, and that is where Lil Nas's horses ran into a small roadblock. Billboard removed the song from the country chart, claiming it didn't embrace enough elements of today's country music, but the internet didn't seem to agree. People began protesting online and his name started trending on Twitter with huge support from people in both the rap and country communities. Nas says that even though the song may have some funny lines in it, that doesn't mean it's a parody, and says, "The song is country trap. It's not one, it's not the other, it's both. It should be on both." I personally don't see why the song shouldn't be considered country. Even country artist Jake Owen says that he'll be collaborating with Nas in the future. And there is the answer to your question from the beginning of the video. After the song blew up, there was a reported intense bidding war for Lil Nas, which Columbia Records ultimately won by giving Lil Nas complete creative control over his catalog. As for the future, he told us these were his goals. To just keep making the music I feel like making, never want to be put in a box, get into acting, modeling, and some other things. In terms of his advice to those watching this at home, he says to remember that some people are removed from your life for the better.
Now, Ice Spice was born Isis Gatson on January 1st, 2000 to a half Dominican and half black family in the Bronx of New York. Now, her parents originally met at a cross-section of the neighborhood where she would spend her childhood, more specifically at the Fordham Road and Davidson Avenue, right besides a good old-fashioned local McDonald's. When asked how that particular section of the Bronx came to shape her life, well, Isis insinuated that she wouldn't be who she is today without being a resident of New York City. She told Girls United, "I feel like New York, it influenced my tone and just my everyday experience, being on the train, commuting, just dealing with people and neighbors that live around me. I feel the type of things that I've seen growing up definitely shaped how I view the world." Now, unfortunately, she wouldn't get to share these early days with a complete family unit. I'm guessing the McRib, it went out and the whole family fell apart. I'm just guessing.
You got a point there, mother.
Now, instead, her parents, well, they split when she was still quite young, but since they lived on the same block, well, Isis, she would travel back and forth between their apartment buildings on a regular basis. So she'd spend half the time with her mom and a Beulah in one apartment and the other half with her father and her grandmother in another.
How was your upbringing like, being from the Bronx?
It was lit. I mean, it's hectic. Right now it's hectic. So, yeah, but it was fun though.
Now, of course, the Bronx, well, it can be a pretty volatile place for kids, and growing up in its tough streets, well, it taught Isis 4 important rules. 1, mind your business, stay on your toes, don't be flashy, and last but not least, well, you gotta be tough, especially if you're all by yourself. Now, having learned these lessons early on, more often than not, well, Isis would spend the majority of her days indoors, where she immersed herself in television and YouTube while daydreaming of one day becoming famous. Congratulations, Ice Spice, here you are. Now, initially, she didn't know if she was going to be an actress or even potentially a poet, as she loved to write poetry from the time she was only a child. Now, when it came time to school, well, Isis began her education attending elementary in the Bronx. Now, during her high school days, well, her parents, they decided to send her to a Catholic institution in Yonkers known as Sacred Heart, which isn't all that far from the borough she was raised in. Now, they did so because they hoped for a better environment, to provide Isis with a bit more structure. I guess when everything's falling apart, you're looking for the church to kind of help you out. My parents did that to me. Anyway, it was during this period of her life that, 2 important things happened. Now, first, Isis, she started using part of the nickname we know her by today, which is Ice, and she came by that moniker pretty naturally after all. Her first name, it's Isis, so her family and her friends, well, they just started calling her Ice for short, especially after 9/11. I can only imagine.
No, God!
Now, a couple of years later, when she was attending Purchase College, well, she added Spice to complete the name of her alter ego on her Instagram profile. But that's getting a little ahead of ourselves from where we're at in this story. Because the second important thing that Isis discovered in high school was that she was extremely gifted at the sport of volleyball. Yeah. Now, thanks to her natural athletic ability, well, she wound up earning herself a place on the college squad as well. But after playing the sport throughout her freshman year, well, Ice eventually grew bored and decided to look for something else to do with herself. Hey, get your mind out of the gutter. She was looking for something else to do that was, what's the word? Not perverted. She contemplated heading off to beauty school, but she never wound up committing to that path. Now, instead, she'd wind up achieving her goal of becoming famous, just not as an actress like she had originally intended. Instead, she became the Bronx's hottest new rapper. Now, the one thing I haven't talked about yet when it comes to Ice Spice's past is the fact that her father, well, he was originally somewhat of an underground rapper, which means a lot of her musical ability, well, it comes to her quite naturally.
Has this been like a lot to take in? Because it's kind of come on pretty quickly for you since you dropped like Name of Love and everything. Like it's kind of just been happening. Everything's been happening really fast.
Yeah, but I've been like manifesting everything that's happening now.
Okay.
So like I've been expecting it. Like it is happening pretty fast, but I've been expecting it. So for me, it's like finally.
And sure, when people discover that Ice's dad used to be in the biz, well, they tend to start throwing out buzzwords like industry plant. But the truth is that as much as Ice loved her father, well, it was other rappers that really inspired her to follow her path. In fact, she explained to Girls United, the first time I remembered really being in love with it myself, based on my own memory, is 7 or 8 years old. I had to be 7 to be honest. I remember listening to Nicki Minaj. I remember Lil Kim being around, hearing her and Jay-Z. I'm from the Bronx, so music's always playing really loud. Now, while being a huge fan of mainstream artists like Nicki Minaj and Drake, well, it wasn't until Ice heard the drill beats of New York City artist Chef G and the late great Pop Smoke that she decided to try her own hand at crafting music. In fact, Chef G's seminal track, No Suburban, well, it was the first drill track that she'd ever heard. Now, after discovering that style, well, Ice Spice, she realized that drill music, it was her future. But it wouldn't be until she met her good friend and future producer Riot that she actually attempted to mount a career in it. Now, with both of these two hailing from the Bronx, well, they immediately hit it off, and Riot began sending her the beats he was working on to see if any of them interested her. Now, one of those beats was what would eventually become Bully, and Ice, well, she just couldn't get enough of it.
I feel like it's just best to lock in, like with a producer and like build your own sound. Cause no shade, but everybody be getting beats off YouTube. So it's like, it kind of feels good when everybody's like, yo, where can I find the instrumental? Like, where can I find it? And you can't.
Now, right around the same time, well, Ice, she took part in the Erica Banks Busted Challenge on TikTok, and she found her short clip going wildly viral online to like 1 million views, and we all know why. Recognizing that now was the time to strike while the iron was hot, well, in March of 2021, Ice finally hit the booth where she laid down some vocals over top of Riot's Bully beat for what would become her very first song ever. Working closely alongside her friend, well, these two, they got the track finished in just 1 week, and then they dropped it later that month. Now, since then, these two frequent collaborators, they've dropped 4 further tracks together, and they've picked up a considerable amount of buzz along the way. Now, at the tail end of 2021, well, Ice Spice, she dropped her first music video to the track No Clarity. Now, shortly thereafter, well, she'd head off on tour with other artists like Tusi and Dusty Locane, after the former hit her up on Instagram just asking her to join in. Now, it wasn't until 2022 that Ice Spice would really turn up the heat. Now, that's when she dropped further hit songs like Name of Love, Euphoric, and her sensational freestyle from On the Radar. Now, that last one right there, it earned her so much attention that even Drake took a moment out of his busy schedule to slide into her DMs and tell her how much she enjoyed it, while also inviting her and her day ones to come hang out with him at a concert in Toronto.
Drake? Drake?
You know what that means, eh? You dirty dog. Now, that got people wondering if Ice Spice would soon become the next member of the OVO roster, especially after she dropped her breakthrough hit. We're talking Munch, Feeling You. I gotta apologize to our host Clyde. He's really hoping to munch Ice Spice himself, and I'm sure he wanted to host this update. But your old boy McCrudden's got work to do. I gotta show up once in a while.
And for the record, I would still eat it for lunch. I'm gonna regret saying that, aren't I?
Then just a few weeks later, well, Ice would find herself back in Toronto, twerking away in front of a massive crowd of very excited fans at this summer's Rolling Loud Festival. There were bullets flying, but hey, it was a good time had by most. But then came a plot twist. Now, over recent days, it's become apparent that Drake, he's no longer following Ice Spice on Instagram at all. He wiped her name clean from his social media profiles. Something tells me Sophie was like, I smell spice and it ain't me. You know, the Sophie, the mom? Anyway. Now, no one knows why Drake decided to ice out the Ice Spice, but maybe it's something to do with her reportedly entering into a relationship with Stranger Things stars Caleb McLaughlin. Yeah, the two have been spotted in public a few different times, including most recently at a party Cardi B threw in New York City. Caleb McLaughlin and Ice Spice. Who saw that coming? Not me. Maybe even I got a shot. Now, surely Drake, he wouldn't be that petty though, would he? Then again, it would also have something to do with the rumors that Ice Spice, well, she's now pricing herself out of her former status and associations. She's allegedly demanding as much as $15,000 per performance, and she's dropping a tour alongside B Love after her many breakthrough moments. Well, they've escalated her career to new heights as of this summer. Hey, when you're regularly clocking in around 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify alone, and as Fat Joe would say, yesterday's price is not today's price. And Ice Spice, well, she has every right to ensure that she's cashing in on her fame when it matters most. Frank Ocean was born Christopher Aloni Brew on October 28, 1987 in Long Beach, California, to parents Calvin Coxey and Katonia Brew. When he was a child, his family moved to that of New Orleans, where he spent the majority of his youth. He was exposed to all different types of music living there, the jazz scene obviously, but his mother, she had her own unique taste in music. She loved Celine Dion, she loved Anita Baker, and she loved the Phantom of the Opera, the soundtrack, and he would jam out to that. He would also witness NA meetings and AA meetings with his grandfather, who would help those who were still struggling with addiction. His grandfather had overcome his own addictions. While in high school, Frank began recording music and worked various odd jobs to pay for studio time, including mowing lawns, walking dogs, and washing cars. After graduating from high school in 2005, Frank Ocean then enrolled at the University of New Orleans. Simultaneously, he was still working on his music. But that's when Hurricane Katrina hit, and the disaster, well, it caused damage to both his school and his recording studio. Following that, it also got looted, so he was kinda up shit's creek. With both his school and now his studio damaged, he was forced to relocate to the University of Louisiana. But instead, he decided to heck with that, I'm gonna drop out and just pursue music. So at this time, he decided to pack up his Nissan Maxim and make the trek out to LA. He only planned on staying for 6 weeks, but he found a friend that he could stay with. They also had some studios there where he could record some music, he got some demos together, and then went shopping around his skills. To make money during this time, he got a job at Subway making sandwiches. He also worked for AT&T where he would process insurance claims. Yeah, not the sunny LA, you know, a lot of people are hoping for. But eventually his hard work paid off and he got a songwriting deal and began collaborating with producers. He contributed to the writing of Justin Bieber's track Bigger in 2008, and the following year he co-wrote the track I Miss You with Beyonce Knowles for her album 4. And that's not everybody. He was also working with Brandy, Nas, John Legend, and Pharrell Williams.
It just means people fuck with me, and that's cool.
That same year, Frank Ocean would hook up with the Los Angeles-based hip-hop collective known as Odd Future Wolfgang Kill Them All. Most notably, he made a strong connection with that of Tyler, the Creator. The two would hit it off, and Tyler really saw some talent in Frank's songwriting. Around this time, he also met producer Tricky Stewart, who helped land Ocean a contract with Def Jam as a solo artist. Now around this time, that's when he came up with the idea of calling himself Frank Ocean. It was inspired from watching Ocean's 11, the 1960s classic with Frank Sinatra, not the George Clooney version. He basically liked the sound of that name and he wanted it for himself. In February 2011, Frank Ocean released a mixtape titled Nostalgia Ultra. He released the recordings as a free download on his Tumblr site. He then also took to Twitter to talk about how Def Jam hadn't been helping him on getting any work done, helping him push anything out, so he basically gave this album away for free. And it got huge critical acclaim. Following this success, he released Channel Orange, this time with the help of Def Jam. But just prior to its release, he published an open letter to his Tumblr blog, recounting love he had developed for a man when he was just 19 years old. He cited that this was his first encounter of true love. Now the date of this relationship, well, that dates back to when he first got into LA. Both him and the guy were 19 years old. He thanked the man for the experience. He also thanked his close family and friends. And yeah, he wanted to share this with the world. He stated, I don't know what happens now, and that's alright. I don't have any secrets I need to keep anymore. I feel like a free man. Now, he was nervous that this decision would end his career, but instead he got support from some of the biggest names in the business.
Many of the headlines reporting this story call him brave, as does his mom.
It's not like a tragedy.
And following this, Channel Orange, well, it would go on to be a smashing success. It got 6 Grammy nominations and 2 wins. Level 2. The obvious artists who have a clear early industry push with heavy promotion, playlisting, and cosigns driving a fast rise.
The rapper Lotto was born Alyssa Michelle Stevens on December 22nd, 1998 in Columbus, Ohio to a biracial couple, Misty Pitts and Shane Stevens. At the age of just 2, her parents moved the family from Ohio to Atlanta, Georgia, where Alyssa grew up on the south side of Clayton County and bonded with her father over their shared interest in drag racing. As a kid, Alyssa was always drumming up ingenious ways of trying to earn a little extra scratch. She not only sold candy in the halls of her elementary school, but when she got a little bit older, she claims that she would sometimes make around $10,000 a night by throwing house parties and charging an entry fee at the door, while also marking up snacks like chips and soda on the inside. Sounds like Lotto was a hustler from day one. During these parties, Alyssa would play the music from some of her favorite artists, not only rappers that her father introduced her to like Tupac and Bone Thugs and Harmony, as well as the NWA, but her own favorites like Nicki Minaj and Gucci Mane as well. When she wasn't flexing her entrepreneurial skill set, Alyssa enjoyed her time in school, where English was her favorite subject. Anything that had to do with writing, including poetry, metaphors, similes, or any type of wordplay, she loved it all.
Do you remember any of your
Yeah, what were
first
you rapping about?
flows? Like what?
Child. Are we talking Skyline Chili? You know what
I would just be talking about my little life at the time or whatever. Like, I'd be talking about these girls hanging on me in school, but I'm too cool.
While Alyssa was growing up, her dad was very much a street dude with a whole bunch of rapper friends. And since Alyssa was such a daddy's girl, she was often hanging out with him and a collection of unique personalities. Getting a chance to witness firsthand this type of fast-living lifestyle and being around so many different rappers would inevitably combine with her love for writing to ensure that both worlds would crash together. So, inspired by her father and the music she loved, Alyssa started writing lyrics at the age of 8. In a studio that she'd often visit while spending time with her pops. That's when she'd grab a pen and just start scratching lyrics out on a piece of paper. By the time that she was in 5th grade, she was already freestyling against high schoolers and college students. Then, as she grew older, she started performing at talent shows. After earning a healthy dose of experience, Alyssa approached her father and asked him to manage her. It took some convincing, but during her career at Lovejoy High School, he eventually came around to the idea. And shortly thereafter, Alyssa earned the biggest opportunity of her young life. Knowing full well that her dream was to become a rapper, Alyssa donned the name of Miss Mulatto, as a nod to her parents' biracial heritage, and created one of her very first big success stories with a jingle video that played every morning in schools all throughout Clayton County, the suburb in which she was raised. With the support of her father, she'd also drive all around the city of Atlanta in a van with a picture of her face wrapped around it, handing out physical copies of her debut mixtape, Miss Mulatto, and plastering posters of herself on buildings. I mean, it was guerrilla marketing at its finest. And guess what? It worked. Lotto told the Los Angeles Times about this stage of her life. "I didn't sit in the studio, make a song, and post it on social media to have it go viral. No shade to whoever has, but I came up at the tail end of a different musical generation. We really got this shit out of the mud. I didn't have a plan B." After making the rounds all over Atlanta, Alyssa had earned herself enough of a local reputation to get noticed by producers looking to put together a new reality series called The Rap Game.
Man, I'm 16 now. I ain't playing no more games with y'all kids. No Candyland, no more holding hands. Anybody can get it, real spit.
When this opportunity came knocking, Alyssa put her education on hold to take part in the series at only 16 years old. And found herself in the middle of a boot camp that pitted a whole bunch of aspiring young rappers against one another over an 8-week span. By the end of the series, Alyssa as Miss Mulatto was the last rapper standing. Her prize was a recording contract with producer of the series, Jermaine Dupri, and his So-So Def recordings. But in a shocking turn of events, Alyssa would turn down the contract, claiming that they weren't offering to pay her enough.
Oh yeah, being around JD, you quickly learn. Like, JD's work ethic is crazy. Like, they don't sleep at all. They take little power naps, that's about it.
For the next few years, Alyssa remained an independent artist and also opened up her very own clothing store at 17 years old. Located on the south side of Atlanta, Alyssa's shop was called Pit Stop Boutique, as a callback to her former love for drag racing, with the store mainly specializing in online orders in clothing and apparel. Telling them, people don't be knowing about that. It was super lit. It was really ghetto. It was very ghetto. But I was a baby, 17, running a whole store, and I was making bank. But soon enough, Alyssa's music career began pulling in the kind of money that she always dreamt of making. In early 2016, she released her first single, a track produced by Jermaine Dupri titled No More Talking, and that same year, she'd win the Youth Hip Hop R&B Award at the Georgia Music Awards. A year later, her music would be all the bolder and more self-assured. That's when she released her second mixtape, Lotto Let 'Em Know, before closing out 2017 with an EP titled Time and Pressure. In 2018, Alyssa dropped The Miss from Miss Mulatto and officially just started going by Mulatto. In 2019, she dropped 2 new EPs in the span of just 1 year that addressed her new experiences and growth from being a teenager to a woman. Big Lotto and Hit the Lotto would each feature versions of the hit track from the South and earn her a recording contract with RCA in March of 2020. Now that she was a bigger deal than ever before, Lotto got the chance to team up with one of her idols, in Gucci Mane for Moo-Wop. She'd also get the chance to work with the likes of Doja Cat, Lil Baby, and City Girls, many of whom would appear on her debut album, Queen of the South. But with as much success she was still experiencing, there was still one little problem: her stage name. For a while, Alyssa tended more or less to just brush that scrutiny off that came her way. But by 2021, she realized that she couldn't do that any longer. In May of that year, Alyssa confirmed in various interviews that she would officially be known as just Lotto. In coordination with this name change, Lotto would drop her single The Biggest, which she told High Snobiety addressed the controversy and, quote, came from a humble and apologetic headspace to where it's like, okay, I finally matured enough to where I was able to listen to what everybody was saying about the name. The Biggest also heralded the release of Lotto's next album, 2022's 777, which further boasted the single Big Energy, the track that would become Lotto's first ever crossover hit. Featuring a sample of Tom Tom Club's 1981 single Genius of Love, a track that was also famously sampled by Mariah Carey on her 1995 hit Fantasy, Big Energy would climb all the way to the number 3 spot on the Billboard's Hot 100 chart, and lead to Lotto taking home the trophy for Best New Artist at the BET Awards. During that ceremony, Lotto even got the chance to perform a remix of her hit right next to Mariah Carey. Shortly thereafter, she found herself nominated for multiple MTV VMA Awards and 2 Grammys, the latter of which painted something of a target on her back after it upset one of her idols in Nicki Minaj. Following Lotto's Grammy nods in the category of rap music, Nicki Minaj took to social media upset that her own #1 single, Super Freaky Girl, was relegated to the pop category instead. It was Nicki's opinion that since both tracks utilize samples of pop music, then Big Energy should also be removed from the rap categories. This is when Lotto tried to reach out to Nicki through private conversation, which Nicki then leaked online while referring to Lotto as a Karen and a scratch-off. That's when things escalated and Lotto called Nicki a 40-year-old bully, while adding that she'd been ignoring subliminal disses from Nicki for a while now. Things would only get pettier from there, with Nicki bringing up Lotto's record sales, while also claiming that she declined appearing to feature on 2 of Lotto's songs. In the middle of all of this, over 100 unreleased tracks of Lotto's were leaked online by unknown parties. Was it done by Nicki's bidding? I mean, no one seems to know for sure, but the timing sure is suspicious. Either way, Lotto bounced back soon enough with her newest single, Pussy, a track that came out in the midst of the Roe vs. Wade overturn. The single was quickly heralded for its timeliness and became a massive hit. And now that Lotto has accomplished one of her lifelong goals of winning a BET award, she's setting her eyes on multiplying that win into an entire room full of trophies. But as for where Lotto's career takes her from here, well, you already know what I'm about to say. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
So many times that it was like, that's the lowest. And then it was like, no.
It got
We're
lower.
going a little lower.
Iggy Azalea was born Amethyst Amelia Kelly on June 7, 1990 in Sydney, Australia. She mostly grew up in the countryside but loved listening to American hip-hop. After a trip to the States before her 16th birthday, she decided to stay there permanently. We've talked about this in more depth in her Before Their Famous video. You can check that out, although it's really old. Not only has Iggy stated that she has Aussie Aboriginal in her family tree, she also states that her relatives arrived on the continent on the first fleet over 100 years ago. Seeing as they were all prisoners, I would chalk that up as some street cred. Amethyst did what she had to get by as she moved around from state to state, eventually settling in LA where she began modeling and recording. It wasn't until her video for Work went viral in 2013 that a lot of people took notice of her bodacious talent. She even made it onto the freshman list and was crowned the next Tupac by the head of Interscope Records. But comparisons like this upset a lot of people, especially after she released lyrics like this. Ironically, the track was off her mixtape Ignorant Art, and she later apologized for the slavery reference, but this would be the first in a long line of social blunders. In 2013, users reported some of Iggy's old deleted tweets, which showed more racist and homophobic jabs. This added fuel to the fire, with people already offended by her fake southern black accent. That's what they call it. As people were trying to decide whether Iggy was a real rapper or just a well-branded pop star, she stumbled on a freestyle during her appearance on Sway in the Morning and delivered a pre-written verse instead. Bad move. Then in 2013, her and NBA player Nick Young started dating, and she immersed herself in black culture even more. In 2014, she was nominated for 4 Grammys from her track Fancy, and shocked everyone when she was up for Best Rap Album along with Eminem, Common, Wiz Khalifa, and Childish Gambino. Tough company. Now nicknamed Igloo Australia and being compared to the Wayne brothers and White Chicks, even artists like Snoop Dogg, Azalea Banks, and Q-Tip came after her for appropriation of hip-hop culture. She was even getting screwed over by lowly pizza delivery boys like one Papa John's, who gave out her number to a bunch of fans. And they gave it to more fans, and there was a lot of guys not looking for pizza. Iggy was relieved when Eminem beat her for the Best Rap Album award, knowing that a win would only be bad news for her, as the world seemed to be coming down on the young rapper, while her boo Nick Young was one of the few people she could turn to during these tough times. They decided to escape on a vacation, but upon her return, she saw someone had posted a pic of her in a bikini that showed some cellulite. And cue the internet body shaming. Eventually, Iggy Azalea would opt to go under the night to enhance her northern regions, because she says the costumes she would dance in, they were always filled with stuffing, so she'd rather it just be au naturel. Although I don't know if silicone's au naturel. You know what I'm saying. Her Grand Escape tour kept getting postponed and eventually cancelled. It might have been because people didn't want to sit through 2 hours of this.
When I win, play good like she got hoes on call.
With her career in, a questionable position and the threat of her being deported from the States because she was on a work visa, well, Azalea became suicidal. She would drive out to a ranch and ride her horse to help her unwind and keep her on track. In July of 2015, her and Nick announced their engagement, which was called off a year later when Iggy caught him bringing other women home on their security camera footage. Damn, this girl, she certainly can't catch a break. Hopefully things will start looking up for the young star. I was a huge fan when she came on the scene, and I'm ready to give her another chance. How about you guys?
Central C was born Oakley Neil Caesar Sue in Ladbroke Grove, London on June 4th, 1998. Raised in nearby Shepherd's Bush, this area of West London is notorious for having both poor and wealthy living in extremely close proximity to one another. Growing up in a single-parent household with his 3 younger brothers and mother, Central's apartment was less than a 20-minute walk from Holland Park, which boasts the very much on-the-nose nickname of Billionaire's Row. Back then, he was a little more than a kid. Sench used to take the 52 bus through his high-end neighborhood and daydream about what living there would be like with his family. Of course, for a long period of time, those daydreams were simply nothing more than that. Dreams. And the older Sench became, the more that he realized that he was going to have to be the one looking after his 3 younger brothers as they tried to come of age on the dangerous streets of West London. He told Crack Magazine, "I didn't have anyone older than me besides cousins who I didn't spend much time with. It made me grow up faster. I had to be aware and responsible. There are a lot of invaluable lessons that you can learn on the roads." On evenings and weekends is when Sench would get to spend his time with his dad. That's when he picked up his appreciation for a wide range of classic American rap artists like Tupac, Biggie, G-Unit, and the Wu-Tang Clan. His love for these foundational rap artists would lead him to making his own beats at the super young age of just 8 years old. As he became a teenager, Sench not only began to record his own music, but he also took to hitting the streets and local nightclubs to soak up further inspiration in the form of dancehall, soca, and reggae. Sench would then spend his free time blending these techniques together into his own unique sound. Shortly thereafter, at the age of 15, Central C realized that once and for all, he was going to make it in this business when he stepped inside of a recording studio for the very first time. In 2013, a friend of Sench's from high school brought him into a studio so that he could record with a professional setup for the very first time in his life. From that point forward, his goals would change forever. Recalling this crucial moment, Sench told Crack Magazine, "It was a good day. I remember it vividly. That changed my whole approach and inspired me to want to record more. That experience gave me the confidence I needed to put things out, especially when I was able to hear what I had just made." Prior to that moment in time, Sench had been content to simply send his homespun tracks along to girls that he had been crushing on in class. I mean, heck, he had even picked himself up a gig working as a sales clerk at a local shoe store. But he only managed to hold that job down for 3 weeks before he realized that the little money they were paying him was hardly worth the effort. After that first evening spent in the recording booth, music became Sench's only focus. He began posting music shortly after, although most of his early work has now been wiped clean from the internet. But if you look hard enough, you can still find some of his raw stuff from around 2015 on YouTube, including a Link Up TV freestyle in which he's almost unrecognizable compared to how he looks and sounds today.
I'm up so late it becomes early and that. I'm about to break them off, I told them they can't hurt me and that. I'm wavy like the shore, I'm sure like Jersey and that. My life ain't pearly, on my life they couldn't jerk me and that.
At this earliest point of his career, Sench was using a different sound and singing in a husky voice through autotune to emulate the trap wave style of other UK contemporaries like D Block Europe and M Huncho had found recent success with. His 2017 EP would make extensive use of these early techniques, but over the next few years he would evolve into something else entirely. Between 2017 and 2020, Sench's voice would not only grow deeper, but his writing would become more introspective and versatile as well. This came about not only thanks to his evolution as an artist, but also due to his relationship with his manager, YB's, who entered his life around 2019. Back then, YB's had been flicking through Instagram looking for potential artists to help mentor when he stumbled upon Central C rapping over a drill beat in the studio. He liked what he heard and he reached out. A short time later, with YB's support, Central C posted a clip to Instagram of himself freestyling in the back of a car. Little did he know that this moment would wind up becoming the culmination of his 15-year journey to break into the music scene. By March of 2020, Sench had backed off the autotune and husky singing voice. Now it was back to basics. A black hoodie, a classic beat, and some fire lyrics emanating out of a much deeper voice would lead to his breakthrough viral moment. In almost no time at all, the clip had racked up over 1 million views and Sench had gained over 30,000 followers in a couple of weeks. Recognizing that his fans appreciated his straight-up rapping skills more than anything involving autotune, keeping things simple became his focal point from that moment on. Thankfully, Sench already had a handful of other tracks in the bank that he had recorded and he was ready to capitalize on. After conferring with YB's, they both decided on the song that would launch him into further stratosphere, his 2020 single, Day in the Life.
His beats are mad different. It's like before he gets into it, he really got you turned.
Yeah, he already, the beat
Yeah.
already, the beat already on, Armstrong.
I already trust it. I already trust
Yeah.
the song just by hearing his beat.
Dropping on June 14th, 2020, just as the UK was easing up on pandemic lockdown restrictions across the country, Day in the Life became a massive hit and would go on to peak at the 44th spot on the UK singles chart. Emboldened by that success, Sench would spend the next few months getting his debut single, Wild West, absolutely perfect. Then dropped that sucker on March of 2021, featuring not only Day in the Life, but further successful singles like Molly and Loading. Wild West would climb to the upper reaches of the UK album charts, falling only one short of the top spot. Soon afterwards, the accolades began to roll in. Sench won the GRM Daily Rated Award for Breakthrough Artist of the Year, as well as Male Artist of the Year. He was also nominated for 3 Brits and won the Best Newcomer at the Mobo Awards.
I'm not really a newcomer though, but I'm accepted nevertheless. I appreciate it a lot, man. What do I have to say? This feels different to when I'm on stage just rapping, like that. I'm gonna just try to keep the convo brief.
After firmly establishing himself and generating a whole ton of momentum, Sench announced that his newest mixtape, 23, will be dropping in February of 2022. And despite the fact that new singles like Obsessed With You have him poised for yet another success story, Sench isn't about to let all this good fortune go to his head. When asked what the last 12 months of his life had felt like, Sench told The Face, "I don't walk around with it on my head. I don't remind myself when I wake up in the morning that I'm the biggest UK rapper or nothing. I don't care." Well, Sench may not care about it, but I don't think that's gonna stop his fans from turning out in droves to support his work and earning him that title in the process.
All the fans, I appreciate you a lot. Everyone, Wild West is a big moment for me. Watch for the new tape, 23 is en route.
Jack Harlow was born Jackman Thomas Harlow on March 13th, 1998 in Louisville, Kentucky. Now his mom Maggie, she played a lot of Eminem while he was in the womb, so let's say his musical journey, it started from the get-go. Now it looks like Jack, he comes from a middle or upper middle class family with his parents running 2 successful companies. A Signorama where Jack would later work, and Transworld Business Advisors, or at least his mom works there. Now he's got a younger brother named Clay, and his family, they moved from the countryside of Shelbyville to the big city of Louisville when the boys were little. And this was so they could be closer to other kids their age.
Where I'm from, it's a city. And a lot of people from Louisville had this desire to be respected in that way because they won't even say Kentucky when you tell them where they're from. Well, now me, I'm not like that. I represent Kentucky. But Louisville is a city. It's urban. We got skyscrapers, we got bridges, we got human beings in suits walking around. It's got 1 million people.
It's got real people walking around in suits. That's my favorite part. Now, as a young kid in kindergarten, well, Jack, he had to wear a patch over his right eye in an attempt to make his left lazy eye a little stronger. Now, due to the patch, all his classmates, well, they started to tease him, calling him a nerd. And in response, well, he learned all the words to Weird Al Yankovic's parody White Nerdy, and he would rap it to those same kids. All of a sudden, them bullies, well, they turned into friends. That lazy eye, it turns out, is the reason why Jack's always seen sporting his glasses. But it all makes sense because growing up, he says he was a massive fan of the Harry Potter books. He was also into another series known as Warriors. Now his dad, he was into country music, but his mom, she had a love for rap. And when he was just 10 years old, he asked his mom if he could listen to the explicit albums in her collection. Now these included A Tribe Called Quest, Public Enemy, NWA, and more. Starting to rap for himself seemed to be an uncontrollable obsession that started when he was 10. Now Jack, he told his dad one day when he was in middle school, "Every time I hear anybody say anything, I try to rhyme. I'd be at soccer practice and I heard words, anything multi-syllable, and would just start rhyming." He described this almost like his own personal puberty. Now by 12 years old, he had made up his mind about his future, and he asked his mom, "How do I become the best rapper in the world?" Her answer, it was an encouraging one. Now she had just read the book Outliers, which popularized the theory that the secret to greatness is 10,000 hours of practice. Now they did the math, and if he dedicated 4 to 5 hours every day, well, he'd be there by his 18th birthday. So Jack, he took this as fact, and he got to work. Now in the 6th grade, well, he used a microphone from a Guitar Hero game console, and he also used a laptop to record his first rhymes. Working with a friend known as Copeland Gravy, well, they put out a Harlow featuring Cope CD, and they titled it Rippin' and Rappin'. For this, they burned 40 copies, and they sold it to all the kids at Highland Middle School for $2 a piece. Now early on, Jack, he wasn't sure what to write about. He was struggling a little bit with the fact that he wasn't a black kid from a rough neighborhood, but in the end, he decided just to be honest with who he was and what he was going through. Speaking more on this, Jack, he told Josh Moss, "Black culture was the coolest thing to all kids growing up, whether they want to say it like that or not. But I didn't want to copy, I didn't want to steal from it, I wanted to put my own twist on it, tell my own story." He also struggled with schoolwork and his music obsession. It left little time for homework, with him often falling asleep in class. But it sounds like his teachers, well, they were pretty encouraging. Now his 6th grade science teacher, Walker Swain, he produced music and asked Jack to be on a song, and the two of them, they collabed. Then the football coach, he heard Jack's music and he connected him with a studio called Fort Knox, and a producer known as Lar Bino, or Larbino. Now there was also another teacher from his elementary school who got him addicted to liking older women. And if you follow him on the gram, you'll notice that he frequently shouts out older actresses like Marissa Tomei and Constance Marie, aka Angia Lopez. Eventually, he would up his game with a professional microphone and adopted the moniker Mr. Harlow. Now in the 7th grade, he gave away 100 copies of his first solo mixtape, Extra Credit, and this time, well, he didn't even charge the $2.
Nobody's gonna be messing with this. It's gonna be hot, and like, I'm bragging, and I'm hyping it up, but it's dope.
In his junior year, he put out Finally Handsome as Jack Harlow, and he started posting videos to YouTube. Now from there, phone calls, they started coming in from potential managers and others who wanted to sign him. Now one of those people just so happened to be Scooter Braun, which led to a meeting at his LA mansion. Another meeting with Def Jam happened in New York, as well as Atlantic Records in Los Angeles, all during his freshman year.
Personally, music speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, just go out there and download it, and I know y'all will mess with it. It's gonna be dope.
Now, despite how you or I might have handled that situation, well, he didn't take a deal. And reflecting back on it now, he cites that as the right move. Now, as his friends got ready to go to college, well, he stuck out working at his parents' Signorama business while dedicating all his free time to his music. He released his next mixtape, 18, shortly after completing high school, which was the first album on his label and music collective, Private Garden. Now Jack, he grew up in the Highlands area of Louisville, which is filled with nightclubs, restaurants, theaters, and more. But when he graduated high school, well, he moved to the Barry Boulevard with his friends. And this was the seedier part of town. There he saw drug addicts and people facing harsher realities than he had grown up around. Now after 6 months, he moved to Germantown into a 2-story house. This was owned by his grandmother. He also picked up his first whip off of Grandma, a 2005 Pontiac Grand Prix, and for that he paid a whopping $2,000. Now his music wasn't yet paying the bills, but he quickly became a local hero, playing all the Louisville venues. This included Headliners, Mercury Ballroom, Haymarket Whiskey Bar, and a show at the since closed New Vintage. Now Jack has said that he will forever rep his hometown. Now over the next year, he would travel to Atlanta to record. He would perform at South by Southwest. In 2018, he signed with DJ Drama and Don Cannon's Atlantic Records imprint Generation Now. Now his buzz, it would only continue to grow with his first major label debut mixtape, Loose, and collabs with K-Camp on Pick Your Phone Up. I'm actually a big K-Camp fan, with Cut Her Off being one of my all-time favorite jams. Also, there was Through the Night, that one with Bryson Tiller, it was another banger. Now the big explosion for Jack was his track What's Poppin', where he worked with Lyrical Lemonade and Cole Bennett, and the music video, well, it was a banger. I think we're looking at over 10 million views at the time of this recording. The Kid Laroi was born Charlton Howard on August 16, 2003 in Sydney, Australia. At the age of 2, he moved to King's Cross area, and then at the age of 7, he moved to a little country town called Broken Hill, and then when he was 11, he moved to Redfern, the place he's most associated with now.
At a mad young age, I had like a different rap name back then. I was like, yo, I'm MC6, I'm spitting rhymes on the beat. Don't try and play this player because I'm fresh out the streets. That's how I used to rap when I was like 7. Oh God, bro, that's too much.
Now he owns his musical heritage to his mom, who would always play good music for him when he was younger. We're talking like Erykah Badu, Tupac, Fugees, and Kanye. Now based on his Instagram profile, I'm sure he also enjoyed some Nirvana as well. The kid cites Kanye's 808 and Heartbreaks for changing his entire outlook on music, which is a similar sentiment shared by Juice WRLD, who cites 808 as his favorite album of all time. Now after hearing that album, well, the kid, he fell in love with autotune, and he discovered that creating his own music was a way to express himself. It also helped him deal with a lot of the anger he was working through at the time. In fact, he stated, "People think I don't know anything because I'm young, but who's to say what 15 feels like? I feel everything 10 times more. It's like, shut the f up, I just want to be me." When asked about his writing process, the Kid Laroi, he revealed to pillarats.com. "So I go over to my mate's place and I say, hey bro, got a sick beat I can rap to? And he says, yeah, I'll cook something up right now. So then he does it, and once I feel something, I start to type some real feelings on my phone. Then I say it into a microphone and my mate records it. We upload it to social media and the rest of the internet to see if world fizzes with it." Fizzes. That I got an Urban Dictionary that. I think it's with. No, of course it is. Never mind. Let's move on. This is Juice WRLD right here. Oh man. Yo, you a yeah. Now, unlike most kids in his age group, well, Laroi, he's more concerned with living IRL than vicariously through technology, and his music reflects that. Now, he uses his sound as a vehicle to understand himself and the world around him. In fact, his talent is giving heavyweights in the industry a run for their money with his brand of clever lyrics and melodic raps that sees him switching from polyrhythmic bars to catchy choruses all in the space of a few beats.
Thing that I always preach and I always tell people around me or even kids that's younger than me is to manifest everything and speak into existence.
After becoming a finalist for the Triple J Unearthed High, an Australian musical discovery competition for talented high schoolers, well, Laroi, he found himself performing in front of 20,000 people at the Triple J One Night Stand. Now, since then, his life has gone through a series of drastic changes, he told Acclaim. A 2018 regular day is a lot different to what a 2016, 2017 regular day would have been. After school, I'm heading to the studio, getting some work done, having meetings. Then on the weekend, it's meetings in the studio. I'm literally so busy nowadays. He's got a clear vision to his work, and it's all backed by the unmistakable belief that the youth is defined by spirit. Now, his confidence and energy enables him to not only accept success, but to manifest it into existence. A belief that he extrapolates on in the following statement. "I always knew that music was gonna happen for me. I just didn't know exactly how it was gonna happen or how soon. I always manifested this in my head. It's mad weird. I trip myself out thinking about it. I'll have a vision, I'll keep thinking about it, I work towards it, and then it happens." Now, the Kid Laroi, he's following in the footsteps of his other idols like J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and Childish Gambino. Now, like them, he doesn't need expensive jewelry and clothes to prove that he's important. To him, it's all about presence and achievement, proving himself through his work, not simply his ascent up the social ladder. "I'm not about to wear a whole bunch of jewelry just to flex. There is a difference between treating yourself and doing it just because you think everyone is going to approve of you looking like that. When I step into a room, I want people to know that I know who I am. I definitely want to stay humble."
He wants some chicken tenders, man.
Y'all got that's $40.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man, I feel sorry for you and Billy, man. You don't want to pay for this shit.
Now I feel like at this point I should reiterate the fact that this dude, he's only 16 years old at the present. I mean, I've been making these videos for, well, almost as long as this kid's been alive. And I can tell you that very few artists in general, no matter the age, ever get to a point where they have an epiphany like that. So this kid's something special. And it's this wise beyond his years style of living that's gotten him cosigns from the likes of Denzel Curry, Lyrical Lemonade, and Rolling Loud. Not to mention jumping on stage with Manu Crooks, TK Meza, and his former mentor Juice WRLD.
Oh my God.
See what happened to artists? They come to grade A.
Or spending time in the studio with Black, Lil Skies, and hip-hop producer Miracle. He said about his blossoming career, "I think that I'm learning every single day in terms of finding my voice. I think I know the story I want to tell, the things that I want to make active in my music. I'm growing as a person. I'm learning as a person. I don't think a lot of people find their voice until they're 20, 25. It's sad because some people don't ever find their voice." Well, in 2018, the Kid Laroi, he landed with a fully formed voice. He released the EP 14 with a Dream, and then he put out single after single in 2019, including In My Feelings, Blessings, and Winning. From there, the Kid Laroi, he signed with Sony, and he dropped his first track with them entitled Let Her Go. He recently uploaded the track Diva with Lil Tecca and is considering all manner of different avenues to pursue for his life and career. "I want to do high-end fashion, my own line, exclusive pieces. I want to get into acting. I want to get into production. And I want to invest in houses. When I get money, I want to use it wisely. All that money doesn't last forever." No, it does not. Especially when you're only 16. I mean, what the heck were you all guys doing at 16? I know what I was doing. I was staring at a poster of Colin Farrell on my wall, just saying, "One day it'll be me." Just to be clear, I'm referring to the acting career, not his substance abuse, just for the record. Although that photo isn't really helping my argument. Anyway, whatever the case, the one thing that I sure as hell wasn't doing was making music as sick and real as the Kid Laroi. He stated, "It does bring you more attention when you're young and you're doing things that grown people do, but people underestimate you. They put it down to you being a kid because things were different in their generation. Older people weren't thinking about the things we think about now. We have the fucking internet now, so everyone is exposed. Everyone has a grown mind. I'm trying to make music that will last forever, not just for this wave. I'm always growing as a person, and my music reflects that." And you know what? He's exactly right. It's a remarkable feat for anyone to accomplish, let alone a young man at the age of only 16. I'm really impressed making this video, obviously. Now, even more impressive is his understanding that the problem isn't blowing up, it's what you do after going viral. Now, every artist in that situation needs a good follow through as to not fade away. And with all the attributes of a tireless professional, well, this kid, he's got nothing to worry about on that front. Now, the bottom line for the Kid Laroi, well, buy stocks now and thank me later.
Because, bro, Baby Baba fucked me the fuck up, bro. This shit is so bad. No one sees shit. I'm gonna wear a cap. In the next photo you guys see, I'm gonna be wearing a cap. And if I don't wear a cap, you're not gonna see the close-up of the hair. That's for sure. It's gonna be a cap or a hoodie or something.
And for God's sakes, could we please get my man a half-decent barber? I mean, my man deserves it. Level 3, the puppet artists whose image, sound, and career are heavily shaped and managed behind the scenes by labels and teams.
This is my first published piano.
Lady Gaga was born Stephanie Germanotta on March 28, 1986 in Manhattan, New York City to parents Joseph Anthony Germanotta and Cynthia Louise Bisset. Now, she is of Italian and French-Canadian heritage. Her mother is said to be an internet entrepreneur and she worked in telecommunications, with her father working in the hospitality industry. Now, later they would merge their experiences together to pioneer the installation of wireless internet access to hotels around the world. Should make a rich life on them. Now, young Stephanie, her and her younger sister, Natalie Veronica, well, they grew up in a happy household. Now, their parents, they were from lower income and had worked their way up to get to where they were today. Now, her family, it was a loving one, but Lady Gaga, as a young girl, she always stood out. In fact, her father, he gave her the nickname of Loopy. And while amongst her peers, she was seen as a misfit and was often mocked. Since she was a little girl, Stephanie, she showed great talent for the arts. Now, proof of this was that she started playing the piano when she was only 4 years old. Now, one Christmas, her father, he gave her a song by Bruce Springsteen, and he said to her, "If you learn to play this song, we'll ask for a loan to buy a grand piano." Now, clearly the young girl, she put in the work. Her family got her that piano when she was only 4 years old. She practiced professionally and learned to play pieces up to 15 pages long before she decided that she preferred to play music by the ear rather than off paper. By 13, she had written her first piano ballad, and by 14, well, she had her first performance in a New York City nightclub. Young Stephanie pursued other forms of artistic expression. She would perform in school plays, she took acting lessons, and she went to a bunch of auditions. Although she was turned down more times than she booked, she did get a little role on The Sopranos. She's one of the girls drinking in the bleachers. Take a look. She was accepted into the Juilliard School of Manhattan, but instead she attended the Catholic Institute Convent of the Sacred Heart. Now there she was picked on relentlessly because of her eccentric personality. Now she was a disciplined student, and she later admitted that she suppressed her personality so she could fit in. She felt like a freak. Now the girls she went to school with, they were total bitches anyway, and they would call her Rabbit Teeth. Now I talked about this in the original Before They Were Famous video we made on Lady Gaga, so let's take a look at that. She went to high school with the likes of the Hilton sisters as well as Kim Kardashian. The bullying, it left its scars on Gaga, who as we all know, would become an advocate for those who felt like outsiders once she found fame.
And the boys picked me up and threw me in the trash can on the street.
With her traditional acting career not taking off, well, Stephanie made other plans. She enrolled herself in theater at Tisch School of the Arts, which is a faculty of the University of New York. Unfortunately, this was still a very dark time for the aspiring singer. She suffered from serious eating disorders, including bulimia and anorexia. Her first sexual experience, she stated it was a terrible one, and she held on to her V card until she was 17. In the summer of 2005, during her second year of college, well, she dropped out of school to devote herself fully to her music career. Now, her father promised to pay her rent under one simple condition. If she didn't succeed within a year, well, she'd have to go back to college. However, she didn't agree to the terms. So then when a year passed, she just got a cheaper apartment, which cost her $1,100 a month, and she ate next to nothing. And all she did was focus on pursuing her dreams. She recorded a couple songs for children's audiobooks called The Portal in the Park. Then she formed a band with a few of her friends called the Stephanie Germanotta Band. Now they wrote some songs and they made covers. One of the popular ones was Dire Maker by Led Zeppelin. They became kind of popular in the New York scene, and they caught the eye of musical producer Joe Vulpes. Now in a few days they became stars on the night scene, and although the band performed at the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2006, well, soon after it dissolved. Now therefore Lady Gaga, she looked for other alternatives, helped by Wendy Starland, a talent scout for Rob Fazari. Now they worked alongside several songs she had already written, as well as creating new material for the producer. Now to do so, she had to commute every day from New York to New Jersey, which, you know, is kind of a bummer. At first, Fazari and Gaga, they didn't get along, but they did manage to record and produce several electro-pop songs, which they sent to important people in the music industry. We know from there that Gaga signed with Def Jam in September of 2006, and she was told to make an album in 9 months. However, after 90 days, she was fired. From there, she ended up working some regrettable gigs. I'm talking a brief appearance on MTV's Boiling Points. You know, probably embarrassing for her now looking back.
Who puts that in their mouth? Would you put that in your mouth?
The singer was so emotionally discouraged, she fled back to the Lower East Side of Manhattan and got mixed up heavily in the nightlife scene. Now for money, she would dance at bars wearing a bikini, and she started experimenting with drugs both during the shows and after. Now obviously her parents, they were devastated, but she would soon pick herself up again and continue to push forward. Soon enough, Gaga met the artist Lady Starlight, and together they performed at clubs including the Mercury Lounge, the Bitter End, and Rockwood Music Hall. Their biggest performance happened at the Lollapalooza Festival in August of 2007. There she was praised by critics and received positive reviews. That was the moment that helped her find the elements she was looking for in her art. It was also around this time that she came up with the name of Lady Gaga. Now around this time she was in an unhealthy relationship with her boyfriend, who told her she would never be successful. In reply, well, she told him, "Someday when we're not together, you won't be able to order a cup of coffee at the deli without hearing or seeing me. Another blow to her ego was that producer Rob Vazari, well, he kept sending the songs Lady Gaga had written to relevant people in the industry. Her luck would change when a man by the name of Vincent Herbert, well, he agreed to sign her to the record label Streamline Records. And while working on her debut album, well, she wrote for other artists including Britney Spears, New Kids on the Block, Fergie, and the Pussycat Dolls. It wasn't until 2008 when Stephanie went to live in Los Angeles to focus on her work, finish off her debut album, that things really started to come together. Her debut album, The Fame, it had little to no promotion budget, and she performed several concerts in Europe, Canada, and the United States. She even opened up for the New Kids on the Block. Now, she also took it upon herself to perform in small gay clubs, growing up a massive following. Now, out of seemingly nowhere, her single Just Dance, it hit the top of international charts, and this was 4 months before her album would drop, building up huge anticipation. Her song became one of the best-selling singles of the year and earned herself a Grammy Award nomination for Best Dance Recording. Furthermore, the unexpected success of her follow-up, Poker Face, well, it reached first place in almost all worldwide charts. A short time later, she received an award for Best Dance Recording at the 2010 Grammys. And from there, well, a star was truly born.
The incredible Lady Gaga!
To date, the album The Fame, it has managed to sell more than 12 million copies worldwide, and it won countless nominations and awards in the music industry. Now, that same year, she made a 6-month tour between March and September, and while doing this, she wrote the single Bad Romance. This made her the first artist in history to have 3 songs with more than 4 million sold copies in digital format. Now, around this time, she also sang and produced a video for the song Telephone along with Beyonce. Now, this caused a lot of controversy, but in general, it had it was well received by critics, me included. They look like babes together. Now, in fact, critics compared her musical style and charisma with that of Michael Jackson, as well as her powerful and provocative sexuality to Madonna's. Another one of her more controversial hits was the single Alejandro? How do I say it?
Alejandro.
Something like that. Well, this one, it really upset the Catholic League. They called her blasphemous. Of course, there would be more singles, there would be more success. She's worked with practically everyone. She's broken Guinness World Records. In fact, there's really nothing Lady Gaga can't do. The artist has managed to sell more than 31 million albums and 150 million singles. This and many more things made her worthy of her place on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She's also considered one of the 100 greatest and most influential women in music. On October 16, 2018, an announcement was made that Lady Gaga had gotten engaged. Sporting a pink diamond ring, her fiancé is 49-year-old Christian Carino, a Hollywood agent to celebrities like Justin Bieber and Harry Styles.
Stop, people! Guys, it's just a goat. Let's remember what's important here. Dream boys.
Selena Marie Gomez was born in Grand Prairie, Texas on July 22, 1992. She is the child of Amanda Cornet and Ricardo Gomez and is of Italian and Mexican descent. She was named after the famous songstress Selena, who was shot dead 3 years after Gomez's birth. If you want to know more about Selena, well, we've covered her bio on ES Michael McCrudden. Be sure to check that one out. You just might need to speak Spanish to fully understand it. Actually, we did it on this channel as well. Let's move on. Selena's mother was only 16 when she became pregnant and was a strong influence in Selena's life. She finished high school and ended up splitting from Ricardo when Selena was 5. She sacrificed everything to raise her daughter and worked 3 jobs as she struggled to make it as an actress herself. While mom was hard at work, well, Selena's grandparents, they took after her.
16 and 17 when they had me, so it was I never really understood it. And to be honest, I think I blamed my mom.
Just like little old me, Selena Gomez, she participated in a few beauty pageants as a kid. Then one day her mom brought her along to one of her acting jobs and Selena liked what she saw. From that day on, she knew she wanted to work in show business.
Could count the legs on an octopus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
She started auditioning and landed a spot on Barney and Friends as Gianna. And this was her first audition ever. She really wowed them away. Now, she didn't know anything about acting at the time and was a pretty shy kid, but ended up learning a whole lot from Barney, which is pretty impressive because that guy freaks me out.
Oh, this? Nah, this ain't nobody. I was just calling my...
On the show was another young talented girl by the name of Demi Lovato, who Selena met during her audition. The two became the best of friends for the 2 years that they were on it, but soon the people over at Barney didn't seem so friendly, and they told Selena and Demi Lovato that they had outgrown the proper age for the show. Real bummer.
goodbye. Goodbye, this is our goodbye song.
She landed small roles on Spy Kids 3D and Walker, Texas Ranger, and then went on to a nationwide casting call put on by Disney. She impressed the scouts and was booked for a guest appearance on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
I used to be Lysander. Lysander and Hermie as kids. Wait, which part did you get? I'm Bottom?
Now it was a small part, but Selena now had it into the wide and wonderful world that is Disney. And they got the buckaroo, so that's where you want to work. In 2007, she was chosen to play Hannah Montana's rivalry, Michaela. And I gotta say, the casting for that couldn't have been more perfect, because outside of the show, people constantly compared the two Disney stars. And Selena would even go on to date Miley's ex Nick Jonas. Boom! Shots fired.
Hey, what's up? It's Hannah Montana. What would you like to give? I'd like to give you singing lessons. Just heard your new single. Ouch.
Now her acting career was working out, but back in reality, Selena was having a hard time at school. She was the target of bullies through elementary school and then later at Danny Jones Middle School. And I'm not sure what was wrong with the kids in those schools, but Selena learned to turn the other cheek. She ended up opting for homeschooling, which worked better for her and her hectic schedule. In 2008, she hooked up with her Barney gal pal, Demi, and the two created the Demi and Selena Show, which was on YouTube. In their vlogs, they answered fan questions and kept viewers up to date with their daily lives. The show didn't do well, and eventually the two abandoned the project. But if they didn't, well, today they could have been YouTubers. Imagine that.
Who are our role models? Kelly Clarkson, Rachel McAdams. Yep.
Afterwards, Selena filmed 2 Disney pilots that went nowhere, then auditioned for the lead in the show Wizards of Waverly Place, and won the part. The show went on to become a huge success and made Selena a star. She sang the theme song and even starred in the feature film.
Okay, kitty cat. I made you say kitty cat.
Now a certified Disney diva, she made all sorts of appearances in other Disney projects and even started her own production company. But Selena wanted to shift focus from acting in kid shows to becoming a pop superstar. Wait. A pop superstar. I almost said pot. In 2009, she made a pop rock band, Selena Gomez and The Scene. Their debut album sold 66,000 copies in the first week, and though critics weren't that impressed with Gomez's vocals, the band still got massive marketing and did well enough to release 2 more albums. Probably because Uncle Disney, well, he had a few bucks to back them up. It was around this time she decided to distance herself from Disney, and she also started dating Justin Bieber in 2011. The two first appeared as a couple during the Vanity Fair Oscars after party and caused quite the stir. They were young, but the world watched as the teen power couple grew into adults. Selena even stopped wearing her purity ring. How scandalous. And the two would then write songs. Sounds of their relationship made headlines on tabloids for 4 years until they finally split. Although for a long time it was like, they're back together, they're over. It was like, just end it. Anyway, it's over now, at the time of this recording. Outside of all the drama, Selena also managed to show the world her humanitarian side by rescuing dogs, starting an eco-friendly clothing line, and becoming the youngest UNICEF ambassador in the history of the organization. Yeah, not too shabby. Kind of girl you'd want to end up with. For real. Although I'm way older, but I am Canadian. She likes them.
Skies are crying, I am watching, catching teardrops in my hands.
Carla Camila Cabello Estrabo was born on March 3rd, 1997 in the small fishing village of Cojmar located in eastern Havana, Cuba. Her mother, Sinhu Estrabo, is Cuban, and her father, Alejandro Cabello, is Mexican. Hence, the family would move between Havana and Mexico City during Camila's early years. She also has a younger sister, Sofia, 11 years her junior. She grew up listening to tunes of Latin singers like Alejandro Fernandez and Celia Cruz. Now, if you guys are from Latin America or speak Spanish, we actually have a second channel that's partnered with this channel that makes all these videos in Spanish. So you can go over there and hit subscribe and stop giving Ayla a hard time. Everyone thinks she's copying me, we work together. Okay, be sure to check that out. When Camila was 6 years old, her mother told her that she was going to take her on a trip to Disneyland. She packed a little backpack with her Winnie the Pooh journal and a doll, and her and her mother crossed the border from Mexico into the US. For the time being, her dad remained back home. Camila has since talked about this experience, stating, "I was born in a country where the roads are almost as broken as the hopes of the people. We left them with only the clothes on our backs to come to a land where we only knew the word yes and no. We built a new life from the ground up in hopes of getting opportunities to be the people we couldn't be in our own country." At the US border, her and her mother were placed in a tiny waiting room with 2 other families for an entire day. After waiting in anticipation, Border Patrol came into the room and granted Camila and her mother entry. She describes this experience, stating, "The room burst with joy, everybody around me clapping and hugging and screaming and crying, and me yelling out, 'Yay! We're all going to Disneyland!'" From there, her and her mother got on a Greyhound bus headed for Miami, which took 36 hours. They had contacts in the Latin community who first took them in. While her mother, who was a certified architect back in Cuba, she got to work at Marshall's in the shoe department, and she would take English classes at night. Lo and behold, her hard work paid off, and eventually she made contacts with Cubans who ran an architecture firm in Miami. For her job interview, her mother was asked if she knew how to use AutoCAD, which is a complex form of software for architecture work, and she had no idea. Back home, she used a paper and pen. But she lied and said she did, and she eventually went and taught herself how to use it, and then she got the job. Soon her mother was earning enough that her and Camila could move out into their own apartment. At school, Camila was asked if she knew how to speak English. She was too embarrassed to admit that she couldn't, but she managed to say, "Yeah, I speak English," so she never ended up taking ELL classes. Instead, she picked up English really early through watching television and cartoons. After a year and a half in the States, her father finally joined them. Camila stated, "He went through such a hardship to cross the Mexican border and had it harder than my mom and I did, literally risking his life for his family to physically make it here." The first job her father worked was as a car washer at Dolphin Mall, and you know how shit this job can be.
I said, fuck you! And your eyebrows! Wipe down this!
Slowly but surely, her parents kept working up the ladder, and today they own their own construction company which they operate together. Growing up, Camila, she had so little that she was told to focus on her studies, that she would one day have to get a scholarship so she could go to college, and she had dreams of becoming a dentist. She also had some insecurities about her voice while she was growing up.
Oh my voice! Oh my god! No, her voice sounds like a man! It's cracking!
Did that kid just say McCrudden? Can we roll that again?
It's cracking!
After school, young Camila would lock herself in her room singing High School Musical, karaoke, and watch One Direction videos. If anyone asked her to sing in public, well then she would break down in tears.
Running down to the riptide, taking away to the dark side.
For high school, she attended Miami Palmetto High School, where she had a crush on an older boy.
It was my freshman year of high school and he was a sophomore, and he didn't even look at me, but the other day he texted me and he was like, "Hey, I actually really liked you like all this time."
It was during her freshman year at the age of 15, Camila told her parents that all she wanted for her birthday was to audition for X Factor. She still had yet to ever sing publicly, but who was her mom to hold her back? I mean, her mom was a fake it till you make it kind of person. So Camila booked an audition with the producers in Florida and was told she could be an alternate if she traveled all the way to North Carolina. What's an alternate, you ask?
An alternate, which means that you're not guaranteed a spot to audition in front of the judges.
After 2 days of being bumped, young Camila broke down crying as she was told there was no time for her to audition. It was just by chance that Simon Cowell walked backstage and she pleaded with him to let her audition, and then she was able to get in front of the judges on the final day.
I came out there and I was like, did that just happen?
Unfortunately, Camila was eliminated during the boot camp portion of the show, but Simon Cowell decided to pull an old fast one and align 5 solo singers together like he had done before with One Direction. Camila, Ali Brooke, Normani Cordy, Lauren Jarugi, and Denai Jane were all brought back on the show initially under the name Lilas. Then they switched their name to 1432 or 1432 before being named by the audience as Fifth Harmony. They finished in 3rd place, but not all hope was lost. They got signed by their mentor Simon Cowell to his record label Seco Music in a joint deal with fellow judge L.A. Reid's label Epic Records. From there, the girls, they got to work. Camila was involved in the release of 2 albums and went on various tours. In the meantime, she separated herself from the others, finding independent opportunities, working with Shawn Mendes in I Know What You Did Last Summer and Machine Gun Kelly in Bad Things. On December 18, 2016, the group announced Camila's departure, and she told Rolling Stone magazine, The songs were mostly written by other people. She recalled, "It was a 2-week process to make Fifth Harmony albums. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, it's just not for me." That same year, she also found time to finally make a trip to Disneyland. As for Fifth Harmony, well, they told their fans that they are now the 5th members of the group.
Kaylee Rose Amstutz, known professionally as Chapel Roan, is an American singer and songwriter. Most of her music, which she co-writes with collaborator Dan Nigro, is influenced by pop classics from the early 2000s and 1980s synth pop. Drag queens have a huge effect on her aesthetic, and her songs and stage presence have been called campy by a lot of people. On February 19th, 1998, Kaylee Rose Amstutz was born in Willard, Missouri. She lived in a caravan park and was the eldest of 4 children. Her father, Dwight Amstutz, runs a family practice in Springfield and works as a registered nurse in the neurological and burn intensive care units. Her mother, Kara Amstutz, is a veterinarian. She has characterized her childhood and community as conservative and Christian. She spent some summers at Christian camps as a child and went to church 3 times a week.
I think that's also helped personally.
She revealed that she had trouble with her upbringing and frequently sneaked out in a 2023 Variety interview, saying, "I just wanted to feel like a good person, but I had this part of me that wanted to escape so bad." When Roan was 10 or 11 years old, she started to play the piano, and at 12 she started taking lessons. At 13 years old, she had her stage debut singing the Christmas song at the school talent contest, which she won. She attempted but was unsuccessful to audition for America's Got Talent when she was roughly 14 years old. When she started posting covers to YouTube at the age of 14 or 15, record labels took notice.
Like, that was very altering. Like, that there was something that switched.
As she approached adolescence, she started penning songs. She completed her high school education a year ahead of schedule and subsequently talked about how the messy start to her music career prevented her from experiencing many of her formative years, such as prom and high school graduation. Under the pseudonym Kaylee Rose, Roan posted her original song Die Young to YouTube in November 2014. She claimed that her time at Interlochen Center for the Arts summer camp changed her trajectory forever, and it was there that she created the song. After that, she made multiple trips to New York for musical showcases, and on May 8, 2015, she signed a record deal with Atlantic Records. In memory of her grandfather, Dennis K. Chappell, who passed away from brain cancer in 2016, she took on the stage name Chapel Roan, her grandfather's surname and a word from the Strawberry Roan, one of his favorite songs by Curly Fletcher. Those two combined to form her name. She also said that she doesn't like her birth name too much. August 3rd, 2017 saw the release of Roan's debut song Good Hurt. Interview gave the song a positive review, praising her striking maturity and surprisingly deep vocals. She signed with Atlantic Records and released her EP School Nights on September 22nd, 2017. She accompanied Vance Joy on his Lay It On Me tour in 2017 as well. Roan lived in Springfield, Missouri with her parents at the time, traveling by plane to New York City or Los Angeles as needed. Roan relocated to Los Angeles in 2018. She later said that she was overwhelmed with complete love and acceptance, and that this was the first time that she had been free to live as a queer woman. This allowed her to start writing songs as the real her. She and Declan McKenna went on a US tour in January to March of 2018. From February to April of 2024, Roan supported Olivia Rodrigo's Guts tour in the US and Canada. Roan's streaming increased by 32% during the first week of the tour. Roan performed as a musical guest on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in February as well. NPR Music published Roan's Tiny Desk concert performance in March. Roan described the single Good Luck Babe as the first song of the next chapter when it was released in April 2024. A lady attempting to suppress her romantic feelings for Roan and women in general is the subject of the song. Declared a well-deserved breakthrough by Billboard, the song debuted at number 77 on the Billboard Hot 100 and garnered 7 million streams in its first week. It was also included in the Spotify Top 10. Chapel Roan became the fastest ever artist on the platform to reach 100 million streams with the song. Roan played Coachella later in April. Roan's popularity on Spotify was expanding at this time, as seen by the more than 500% increase in her monthly listeners between February and April. Roan's weekly streaming increased by more than 20 times from the beginning of the year in June 2024, as reported by Billboard. Chappell Roan disclosed in the same month that she had turned down a White House offer to sing at the Pride celebration that year. Chappell continued to work on a new album that same month, releasing an unreleased song called Subway during her performance at the Governor's Ball Music Festival. The song debuted at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 in June and went on to become Roan's first top 20 hit. It peaked at number 8 in August of the same year. The worldwide popularity of her debut album was largely fueled by the single's success, despite it not being on the playlist. The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess opened in the top 10 on the Billboard 200 and top album sales charts in June 2024, after obtaining more than 40,000 equivalent album units. By August, the record had moved up into the top 3. In order to accommodate the increased demand, the Bonnaroo Music Festival announced that Roan's show would be relocating from a small tent to a larger stage. Roan had previously drawn crowds of over 40,000 people at the Boston Calling Music Festival and one of the largest crowds at the Governor's Ball. At another concert that month, Roan spoke to the crowd about dealing with her rapid increase in popularity, stating, "I think my career is just kind of going really fast, and it's really hard to keep up. I'm just being honest, I'm having a hard time today. This is all I've ever wanted. It's just heavy sometimes." She attracted the biggest daytime set and the largest crowds ever seen at Lollapalooza after her performance in August. I listened to some of her stuff, and the hype behind Good Luck Babe is warranted completely. Solid track, emotional, and her singing is just simply amazing.
Sabrina was born May 11, 1999 in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, to David and Elizabeth Carpenter, and raised in East Greenville. Since Sabrina could walk, she had huge dreams of becoming a performer. And from the minute she could perform, she loved to entertain. She had 3 older sisters and was homeschooled. She is a niece of actress Nancy Cartwright, famously known as the talented voice behind Bart Simpson. Around the age of 10, she began posting videos on YouTube of herself singing Christina Aguilera and Adele songs. She said Christina Aguilera and Rihanna were her biggest musical influences. She's also named Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, and Etta James as early musical influences. Her father saw that she had a gift and built a recording studio for her to fuel her passion for music. In 2009, she placed 3rd in a singing contest, The Next Miley Cyrus Project, run by Miley Cyrus. In an interview with 1883 magazine, Sabrina spoke highly about her upbringing and how her unique home life allowed her to be as creative as she wanted. "I grew up in the middle of the woods, so there was a lot of room and time to be creative and use her imagination," she said. "My parents always encouraged music and art in my household." In 2011, she was cast her first role as Paula, a young victim in Law & Order Special Victims Unit, alongside fellow Disney star Peyton List. Sabrina then featured in the odd TV show and film here and there, including Noobs, Orange is the New Black, Austin and Ally, and even dabbled in voice acting for Disney's hit show Phineas and Ferb. When Sabrina was 13 years old, her family moved to Hollywood in the hope of striking big. 2014, she landed her biggest role yet, bagging a lead role of Maya Hart in Disney's Girl Meets World. Appearing in a total of 72 episodes of the show, she continued her role until 2017. Speaking with Marie Claire, Sabrina revealed she is grateful for the experience, but is glad the show ended so she could pursue other ventures. "It was a beautiful experience. I wouldn't have changed it, but I was just about to turn 18 and I was really excited about moving on to the next thing," she said of her time in Girl Meets World. Charming audiences on the screen, Sabrina was also fine-tuning her musical skills from early on, recording Girl Meets World's theme song alongside her co-star Rowan Blanchard. She signed a 5-album deal with Hollywood Records, releasing her debut single Can't Blame a Girl for Trying in 2014, and has since released 5 albums: Eyes Wide Open, Evolution, Singular Act 1, Singular Act 2, and Emails I Can't Send. In 2018, Sabrina Carpenter moved into her movie era, popping up in films like The Hate U Give and Tall Girl, and in 2020 she starred in the Netflix dance movie Work It. She is also a producer, which I love for her. In 2022, the release of her Emails I Can't Send, the singer really came into her own. The album addresses a variety of topics, from infidelity to family dynamics to first loves to self-love, and gave us bangers like Nonsense and Feather. the latter of which became a point of contention with the Catholic Church. It's no surprise that Carpenter has a Taylor Swift connection because her songwriting and vocals are just as heart-wrenching and captivating as Taylor Swift's. Before Sabrina was widely known in pop culture for her expert songwriting and A+ vocals, she was involved in some messiness with another Disney star turned pop singer, Olivia Rodrigo. Then, relatively unknown outside of Disney, Olivia released her first single, Driver's License, in 2021. It was an instant hit, about teen love lost, centered around a guy who left Olivia for that blonde girl. At the time, many fans of Olivia assumed the song was about her co-star Joshua Bassett, who she previously was linked to and who Sabrina was then currently involved with. Naturally, fans assumed Joshua Bassett had broken Olivia's heart, dumping her for Sabrina. To say fans took their theory to the next level is an understatement. The song not only launched Olivia's music career, but led to tons of traffic towards Sabrina, who would go on to detail her experience in the song, Because I Liked a Boy. You are nothing in Hollywood if you don't have a steamy romantic connection, at least in the eyes of the tabloids. And when it comes to romance, Sabrina Carpenter has been linked to several stars. In addition to her rumored relationship with Joshua Bassett, the singer has been linked to actor Dylan O'Brien, and in January 2023 was photographed out and about in Los Angeles with Canadian singer Shawn Mendes. In a March 2023 interview, Shawn Mendes shot down the speculation, claiming that he was not dating Sabrina, but fans were not buying it. In any case, in late 2023, Sabrina was rumored to be dating Irish actor Barry Keoghan after allegedly meeting at a show in Paris. By December of that year, the couple were photographed out for dinner together. And since the start of 2024, the couple have seemingly confirmed their relationship status to be true, popping up together everywhere from museum dates in Los Angeles to concerts in Singapore. On June 10th, People reported that Sabrina Carpenter is partnering with niche New York ice cream brand Van Leeuwen on an espresso flavored ice cream. Genius, honestly. Sabrina is so loved worldwide, and people that meet her have only had nice things to say. Apparently she's a fun person to be around, she's kind, and people can tell that she's just genuinely a cool person.
Level 4, the Nepo Baby artists who benefit from family ties or insider connections that give them direct access to opportunities.
You were once the youngest person in existence.
Jaden Christopher Sire Smith was born on July 8th, 1988 in Malibu, California.
Growing up in the streets ain't no joke, but there ain't no streets tougher than mine. The streets of Malibu.
He's the first child born to Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, but he has an older half-brother, Trey Smith, born in 1992 to Will and his ex-wife, Cherise Sampino. Jaden also has a younger sister, Willow Smith, who also has dabbled into both acting and music. At home, Jada and Will don't believe too strongly in punishment, but when it's time to lay down the law, Jada would be the one to do it. She described Will as the more lenient parent and will let the kids eat frosted flakes for lunch or chocolate cake for dinner. With two incredibly famous parents, Jaden's childhood was not exactly typical. He was just 4 years old the first time he appeared on screen with a split-second cameo in Men in Black 2. His family would take vacations with Nelson Mandela. Their friends included Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes. And as you saw in the intro, Jaden met Oprah when he was just a toddler. Jaden grew up in a 27,000 square foot Malibu mansion. There, he was homeschooled by his mother. That is when he was studying at school founded by his famous parents. In 2008, his dad paid about $900,000 to lease the campus of Agora High School and turned it into a private elementary school called New Village Leadership Academy for Jaden, his sister, and the kids of several other families. The founding purpose of the school, according to Will, was to make learning fun, and as he wrote in a statement at the time, New Village Academy was born of a simple question: is it possible to create an educational environment in which children have fun learning? Jaden and I believe the answer is yes. And while Jaden's private schooling was outside of the ordinary, his homeschooling had been a bit out of the box. Even for homeschooling, in an interview, Jaden described it this way: "We have tutors and a little school room with other children, so they can travel with me and their dad. They love it." At the same time, when Jada was asked about whether it was difficult to give them a normal life and keep them grounded, she responded, "If you're stable and grounded yourself, it really isn't that difficult. Will and I might not always be able to go to Disneyland or to the movies with the kids. We want them to see the reality of life and have a normal experience of having to stand in line and get tickets. But as far as who they are as individuals, it's not that difficult." Well, that may or may not have turned out to be true, but at times, both Jaden and Willow would go on to face backlash for being, well, the opposite of grounded. In a a much talked about interview with the New York Times, Jaden and his sister were asked about whether life was moving too quickly for them. Willow's response was, "I mean, time for me, I can make it go slow or fast, however I please, and that's how I know it doesn't exist." Jaden's response was, "It's proven that how time moves for you depends on where you are in the universe. It's relative to beings in other places. But on the level of being here on Earth, if you are aware in the moment, 1 second can last a year. And if you are unaware, your whole childhood, your whole life can pass by in 6 seconds. But it's also such a thing that you can get lost in." Willow agreed, adding, "Because living." So was that grounded or not? You can be the judge. Anyway, if you think the kid's got an ego, it's probably pretty well earned. While receiving his education, Jaden launched a pretty successful career as an actor. Between 2003 and 2006, he appeared as Reggie in several episodes of the show All of Us.
Hey, you punched too hard.
What are you doing?
We're having fun.
While he may have had a brief cameo in Men in Black 2, his real silver screen debut came in 2006 when he starred alongside his dad in The Pursuit of Happiness, which, give it up, was a pretty great movie.
It's not a time machine. Dad, it's not a time machine. Guy said it was a time machine. It's not a time machine. It was wrong.
For his role in the film, Jaden picked up an MTV Movie Award for Breakthrough Performance and a Teen Choice Award for Choice Movie Chemistry. He was also nominated for an NAACP Award, a Black Reel Award, a Broadcast Film Critics Association Award, and a Teen Choice Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture. His next film will be The Day the Earth Stood Still, starring Keanu Reeves.
You should let me go.
The role garnered Jaden a Saturn Award for Best Performance by a Young Actor. The same year, he would appear in an episode of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I love that show.
Catch you tomorrow. I wish, but my ship leaves tonight, and we won't be back for like 7 years.
In 2010, Jaden would star alongside Jackie Chan in the remake of The Karate Kid. For the role, he scored a BET Award and a Young Artist Award, as well as 7 other award nominations. He would also get a chance to show off his real-life kung fu skills on Ellen. The film would also help to launch Jaden's music career. The soundtrack for the movie would include Never Say Never, a song Justin Bieber and featuring Jaden Smith. Great song, also. Never say never.
No pun intended, was raised by the power of will. Like Luke with the force, if push comes to shove. Like Kobe in the force, ice water, lead.
The music video clocked in over 745 million views on Justin Bieber's Vevo page. The song be certified platinum and hit number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. Over the next couple years, Jaden would continue to make guest appearances on Justin Bieber songs, like Thinking About You, Happy New Year, and A Fairy Tale. He'd soon be appearing on stage with the Biebs, and in 2012 self-released his first mixtape, titled The Cool Cafe, Cool Tape Volume 1. That was probably a good thing, because his movie career was beginning to flounder. While he's got 2 movies set to be released in 2018, Jaden's last film at the time of the recording was The After Earth, a post-apocalyptic sci-fi with him and his dad, which did pretty poorly at the box office and got slammed by critics. Even Will Smith bashed the film, calling it the most painful failure of his career. He also compared it to the Wild Wild West and said that he regretted leading his son into the production. For the film, Will and Jaden won a Golden Raspberry for Worst Screen Combo, and Jaden got another award for the Worst Actor. Despite the failure of this film, Jaden pushed forward with ambitions in the entertainment industry, focusing in on his budding music career. In 2013, he appeared on Jhené Aiko's track, The Worst Remix. The next year, he appeared on 2 tracks by Childish Gambino, Pop These and Late Night Kwai. And Late Night what is it? Kai? Forget it, this song. Also in 2014, he released a follow-up to his 2012 mixtape called CTV2, which I think stands for Cool Tape Volume 2. In 2015, he released a collaboration EP with Daniel D'Artiste called This Is The Album, and the first single for his debut studio album would be Follow in 2016. The track was called Fallen.
Just meet me on the moon.
2016 would also usher in a series of guest appearances on tracks by some pretty impressive artists. He appeared on the track Lonely with Post Malone and T.O., Like This by The Rich the Kid, Where's the Love by the Black Eyed Peas, and Kitchen by Kid Cudi. The next year, he'd appear on Tyler the Creator's Pothole and Perry I with ASAP Mob and Playboi Carti. Also in 2017, he released a string of singles: Batman, Watch Me, Falcon featuring Rory and Icon.
What you call an icon living? Start a record label, Misfits just did it.
His debut studio album, Sire, was released on November 17th of that year, peaking at number 24 on the Hot 200 and number 10 on the Billboard's US R&B and Hip Hop chart. At the time of this recording, his sophomore effort, Errors, is already in the works, and he's set to return to the silver screen in an untitled Crystal Moselle project, in a film called Life in a Year. Hopefully it gets better than After Earth.
Willow Camille Rain Smith came into this world on Halloween night in the year 2000. Born to her parents, world-famous actors Will and Jada Pinkett Smith, Willow lived in Hollywood from her earliest days, where she grew up alongside her older brother Jaden Smith and half-brother Trey Smith. Of course, her family name meant that she and her brothers would grow up under a humongous spotlight, and one that took them a very long time to learn how to adjust to. Ultimately, the singling out that Willow felt throughout her childhood would result in her having trouble fitting in, be it with kids her own age, or even the African American community in general. And we all know how her brother Jaden had trouble with kids, you know, his own age, because they didn't want to talk about the economic crisis that the world was facing, which I totally relate to, you know? It's kind of a Smith thing, but you know. More on that later. During an episode of Red Table Talks, the talk show series that Willow hosts with her mother Jada, Willow would reveal that she and her brother felt shunned by the African American community as children for the perception of growing up too weird. Now, what exactly is she referring to? Well, it probably has something to do with the sensational headlines the media would produce when either Willow or Jaden would experiment in their gender-bending fashion sense. Willow is of the impression that this expression of style never sat right with more conventional folk and what is usually considered to be black culture. Then there was also the speculation about her sexuality when she was really no older than a kid.
With polyamory, I feel like the main foundation is the freedom to be able to create a relationship style that works for you, and not just stepping into monogamy because that's what everyone around you says is the right thing to do.
These kinds of discussions made it more difficult for Willow to come to terms with her own sexual nature, before she officially came out as bisexual on the Red Table Talk, stating, "I love men and women equally." All in all, there was almost absolutely nothing normal about the childhood of Willow Smith to begin with. And then she went and got involved in the film industry at only 7 years old. In 2007, Willow would appear in her very first film alongside her father Will in the movie I Am Legend. Soon after, she was popping up in other films such as Kid Kidridge, An American Girl, and Madagascar, Escape to Africa the following year. But after that run of 3 films, Willow was more or less done as an actress. She even went so as far to turn down a role of Annie in a new version of the classical musical that her father was in the midst of producing. Instead, she chose to focus on something she was more passionate about: music. Her very first single was titled Whip My Hair, and she released it at the age of only 9 years old. And boy, oh boy, was this song a moment when it came out.
We really are proud of Willow.
Yes.
And excited.
I'm getting my nails done with boom boxes on them.
The song turned into a gigantic hit, not only going platinum, but also reaching the number 11 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. The following year, Willow signed a deal with Jay-Z's Rock Nation and then set off a tour across the entire world as a supporting act for Justin Bieber. It was actually during this world tour that Willow would teach her father a very important lesson about parenting. At the time, Will couldn't have been prouder of the job he was doing with his kids. Here was his barely 10-year-old daughter performing alongside one of the biggest acts in the world and selling millions of copies of her own music. He wrote in his autobiography, "I was like, I am parenting the shit out of these kids. I felt like I was doing really, really well." Then, one night, after Willow performed on stage in Dublin, everything changed. Willow finished a song and then, instead of continuing, walked off the stage to find her father and told him, "Thank you, Daddy, I'm finished." At first, Willow had no idea what his father meant, so he proceeded to remind her that she wasn't done performing and that people in the audience were expecting her to go back out there. Willow then asked Will, "It doesn't matter to you that I'm done, Daddy?" Will continued to brush his daughter's comments to the side. Then a few days later, Willow came down to the breakfast table with her head totally shaved bald. That's when Will realized that he had totally disregarded his own daughter's emotions when she had told him that she was finished singing. Willow would later provide her own perspective on the experience when she revealed on an episode of Red Table Talk that she felt as if Will had been too harsh on her early on in her life, and that this disregard for her emotions would later adversely impact her relationship with him, by saying, "It was a couple of years, honestly, trying to regain that trust for not feeling like I was being listened to or like no one cared how I felt. These feelings of confusion and despair would also result in Willow attempting to self-harm herself by cutting.
Like, I was just listening to a lot of dark music, and like, it was just so crazy, and I was just like plunged into this like black hole. And I was like cutting myself.
But thankfully, over the years, Willow has been able to reconcile with her parents and discover more about who she wants to be herself. One of the first things that Willow discovered as a teenager is that she always enjoyed punk rock music, even if other people were almost always surprised to find that out about her.
I just want to express my desire and my anger at the fact that just people of color and women of color haven't been given the freedom to just be who we want to be.
As a teen, Willow fell in love with bands like My Chemical Romance and Blink-182. And while the albums she would create as a teenager with names like Artipithecus, The First, and Willow could all probably be classified as pop adjacent. More recently, she has gotten a chance to dabble in her genre of choice, thanks to the release of her 2021 pop punk album, Lately I Feel Everything, which even features some classic punk stars like Travis Barker and Avril Lavigne. Produced alongside her romantic partner Tyler Cole, Willow says that this album is the type of art she's been waiting to make her entire life. And now that she's in her 20s, she finally has total control how things will shape out from this point forward. And of course, with Willow's high-profile snafu at the Oscars this year, Willow's gonna have to deal with the fallout from something that she really doesn't involve herself in yet again. But something tells me after an entire life worth of dealing with these types of situations, Willow knows what steps to take next. And I mean, hey, what better way to take your mind off things than by performing in front of a few 100,000 people at Coachella for the very first time.
Level 5. The Superplant fully manufactured artists built from the ground up by the industry, designed and launched for mass global success.
Britney Jean Spears was born on December 2nd, 1981 in Macomb, Mississippi. The second of 3 children to parents Lynn Irene Bridges and James Parnell Spears, Mom was the daughter of a strict Baptist dairyman and a British war bride with dreams of escaping the small-town life of Kentwood, Louisiana. Their parents met in small-town Macomb, where Britney's dad, Jamie, was a young party guy who popped wheelies on his motorcycle and divorced his first wife 2 weeks before he married Lynn. His own mother committed suicide when he was 14, as parents Lynn worked as a second-grade school teacher and Jamie as a contractor with projects in Memphis, a few hours drive away. He generally came home on weekends, and when he was around, he was often drunk. The parents' marriage was strained, and mother Lynn poured her own dream for fame and fortune into her daughter Britney. By age 3, she began singing in her local church, competed in gymnastic competitions and talent shows. From 8 to 12, Britney and her mom would split their time between New York and Kentwood as Britney booked commercials, played the lead in a Broadway play, Ruthless, and performed on Star Search. Imagine having that much talent at that young age. Like, wow. The family declared bankruptcy before Britney made enough to support them all. At 12, she landed a role on the Mickey Mouse Club alongside Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, and Ryan Gosling. For some time, Britney dropped out of the spotlight and returned to a normal childhood, but following the success of manufactured pop groups like Spice Girls and the Backstreet Boys, it didn't take long for Hollywood executives to come up with the idea to manufacture a young female contender that would appeal to both young men and young girls all over the world.
The way that Baby One More Time has just exploded, surprised you at all?
Well, I hoped and I dreamed, you know.
Yeah.
In January 1999, Britney emerged on the national stage with video for Baby One More Time, dressed up as a Catholic schoolgirl. The success was the equivalent to an atomic bomb, and Britney's first 2 albums sold more than 39 million copies, and all eyes were on the young starlet. And they're still dressing like her on Halloween to this day. A pioneer, an icon.
What was that? Everyone's talking about it.
What?
Well, your breasts.
My breasts.
Apparently the press weren't allowed to even ask this personal question, but this guy he just went for it. That was the first big blow to Britney's golden girl image, with everyone speculating over if she did or didn't opt for breast implants. Which she did. It was none of our business. It was none of our business.
What do you think about breast implants, just in general?
Well, I think if that's what you want to do and that would make you happy, then I see nothing wrong with it, but I haven't done that.
Then there was her relationship with Justin Timberlake and their public proclamation that they would save themselves for marriage, but the honeymoon wouldn't last the test of time. Even though memes of them in their matching denim outfits would as well. The two allegedly split backstage at SNL over cheating allegations. When Justin dropped Cry Me a River with his lyrics and a lookalike cast in the video, Britney was branded as the bad one of the 2 superstars to a generation of teen fans.
Leave Britney alone!
Please. What followed next was a 3-day party in Las Vegas, which reportedly involved cocaine, ecstasy, and Xanax, before her and her high school sweetheart Alexander took a lime green limo to the Little White Wedding Chapel and had a $40 wedding. The two were separated before the end of the week. By now, Britney was itching to show a more edgy side to her persona and celebrity, and in August 2003, Spears opened the MTV Video Music Awards with Christina Aguilera, performing Like a Virgin. Halfway through, they were joined by Madonna, with whom they both kissed. It became an instant classic. I gotta say, that kiss was much better than the Coachella Drake kiss. That was much better. In 2004, she met Kevin Federline, a 25-year-old cornrowed white boy who'd previously been a dancer for Justin Timberlake. He was also a high school dropout from Fresno, California, the son of an auto mechanic with one baby and another on the way. His nickname was Meat Pole. I know a Jamaican never gave him that name. It could never be a Jamaican. Regardless, Britney was smitten. The two were soon married, popped out 2 kids in 3 years, and lived off her fame selling their wedding and baby photos for millions. In February 2006, pictures surfaced of Spears driving with her son Sean on her lap instead of in a car seat. Child advocates were horrified by the photos of her holding the wheel with one hand and Sean with the other. This was just the beginning of countless tabloid headlines Britney would be at the front and center of.
What made you join the paparazzi? Britney's case.
I'd witnessed far too many cases of it in the mining community I grew up in.
You wanted to stamp it out from the inside?
No, I wanted to be a part of it.
Her world appeared to be falling apart, as was her relationship when she asked Kevin Federline for a divorce via text message in November of 2006. It turns out this happened while he was in Toronto promoting his rap album while at Much Music, right down the street. And of course, we can't forget there was a highly publicized nights of partying with Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan and enough paparazzi pics to keep the likes of TMZ and Perez Hilton to continue pumping out the news. Harvey Levin, founder of TMZ, told Rolling Stone, "We serialized Britney Spears. She's our President Bush." Perez said, "She is by far the top person I have written about on my website, ever." Next came rehab after she lost custody of her children. Then there was the infamous head shaving and attack on paparazzi car with an umbrella, which was followed again by another trip to rehab. There was a magazine shoot where she let her dog poop on a $6,700 gown, then a hit and run. The charge was dropped, obviously, but there was an investigation by the Department of Children and Family Services and her hospitalizations on January 3rd and January 31st. Things were pretty much batshit crazy for the next handful of years. She ended up dating a member of the paparazzi, which makes some sense, seeing as these were the people that during these years were following her the most. Or in my opinion, Stockholm Syndrome. Her relationship with her family became strained. Her younger sister she would speak with over the phone, but she lost trust in her mother, who had become caught up in her own pursuit for fame and had sold Jamie Lynn's pregnancy photos to OK Magazine for $1 million. Enter Britney's father, James, in 2008. During this time, Britney had been committed to the psychiatric ward of Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center and put on 5150 involuntary psychiatric hold under California state law. The court placed her under conservatorship led by her father, Jamie Spears, giving him complete control of her assets, and that's where Britney would remain for the last decade or so. She's continued to work, put out new albums, did a Vegas residency tour, and more. For the past decade, she remained tight-lipped, speaking only through her legal team, but she has made subtle comments. Speaking with MTV, she stated, "If I wasn't under the restraints that I am under right now, you know, with all the lawyers and doctors and people analyzing me every day and all that kind of stuff, if that wasn't there, I'd feel so liberated and I'd feel like myself. I'm kind of stuck in this place, and it's like, how do you deal? I just cope with it every day. When I tell them the way I feel, it's like they hear me, but they're not really listening. They're hearing what they want to hear. They're not listening to what I'm telling them. It's bad. I'm sad." Only in recent years did the Free Britney movement take on a life of its own, with protesters appearing outside her courthouse, where her father has finally lost his control over her life and estate. We're hoping this means the beginning of a new chapter for Britney, and can only wish her nothing but the best.
Between the years of 2010 and 2011, producer Brian C. Hyuk and Big Hit Entertainment, the South Korean entertainment company, well, they held auditions for a brand new boy band. Now, their intention was to introduce a new music sensation to the world. By the end of their search, the company had settled on 7 young members. The acronym BTS, it comes from the Korean expression Bangtan Sonyeondong, something like that. And in English, well, that translates to Bulletproof Boy Scouts. Now, this name was conceptualized with the intention to let audiences know that the young entertainers would deflect stereotypes, the bullets, striving to give their audience a much more positive image. Pretty cool.
みんなに解散するって言った時、みんながもし納得しちゃったらどうしようって思ってたんだ。
Let's kick things off with RM. Now, RM is considered the leader of BTS, as well as being a rapper and songwriter for the group. Now, his stage name was originally Rap Monster, but he eventually shortened it to the initials RM. Now, he was born Kim Namjoon on September 12, 1994 in Goyang, South Korea, a satellite city of Seoul. Now, he says as a young man, he became fluent in English while watching the TV show Friends, which he would do with his mom. Great show. Now, RM apparently has an IQ of 148 and scored in the top 1.3 of people in Korea in the university entrance exams. He started out as a solo artist going by the name Runch Randa, and he rapped as part of a hip-hop group. V is a vocalist, a songwriter, and a producer in the BTS group, and he was born Kim Tae-hyung in the Seo district of South Korea on December 30th, 1995. Raised with a younger brother and a sister, his parents are both South Korean farmers. Now, despite his family falling on some hard times financially, V has stated that he had a very happy childhood. He's still close with his family and considers his father to be his role model. Now, he developed an interest in music at a young age, particularly classical and jazz. He idolized both Korean and American singers like John Legend, and he started playing the saxophone in the 12th grade after his father told him in order to be a successful singer, well, he should have the ability to play at least one instrument. He graduated from Korea Art School in 2014, later enrolling in Global University.
민슈가 천재. 뭐 이 두 마디면 될 것 같아.
Suga is a songwriter as well as the lead rapper in the group, and the youngest of two sons. He was born Min Yoon-ji on March 9th, 1993 in Daegu, South Korea, which is about 45 minutes southwest of Seoul. At 13, Suga began studying MIDI and writing music while working in a recording studio. And naturally, well, he began to rap and perform. Now, this translated into a career as an underground rapper. Now, originally going by the name Gloss, he would rap with a Korean hip-hop crew known as D-Town before he auditioned for BTS. Now, Suga has been outspoken in his support for the LGBTQ community, and he struggles with depression. He also is an advocate for mental health awareness and research. Then on his 25th birthday, he donated 10 kilograms of beef to 39 orphanages across Korea, which is like 22 pounds per orphanage. I can't even say the English words correctly. J-Hope is a rapper as well as a main dancer in BTS. He was born Jung Ho-seok on February 18th, 1994 in Gwangju, South Korea. Now, he grew up with his two parents and older sister, and he was fairly active as a kid, developing a passion for tennis. Now, a natural dancer, J-Hope won numerous prizes as a youngster for his moves, including a national dance competition in 2008. Now, this interest in dance eventually led him to trying out rapping and songwriting. Before he joined BTS, well, he was a member of a dance group known as Neuron. Jin serves as a fellow vocalist as well as being a fan favorite of BTS. Now, the oldest member of the group, he was born Kim Seok-jin on December 4th, 1992 in Gyeonggi-do Province in South Korea. Guys, what do you want from me? His older brother first introduced him to the hip-hop genre when he was young. Jin, however, he had different dreams. Before joining the group, Jin's aspirations were to work as a police detective, but eventually he took a different path. His father being the CEO of a company, well, Jin found employment working for him. In 2011, he enrolled at Konkuk University where he studied film. One day, perhaps out of fate, well, Jin's good looks were noticed by SM, the biggest talent agency in South Korea. He was initially reluctant to join with them, believing that the talent agency was a bit of a scam, but eventually, well, he signed up. Jimin is a dancer as well as a lead vocalist of the group, and he was born Ji-min on October 13th, 1995 in Busan, South Korea. Now, the oldest in his family, he attended Busan's Ho-Dog Elementary School during his childhood, and while he did aspire to become a police officer, Jimin eventually fell in love with dance. He also had interest in singing after observing one of South Korean singer Rain's performances. Now, attending Busan's High School of the Arts, he excelled in the Department of Dance, and he eventually moved on to Korea's art school in Seoul, where he was later convinced to audition in front of Big Hit Entertainment. Jungkook is a dancer, rapper, as well as a lead vocalist of BTS, and the youngest member of the group, he was born Jeon Jin-suk on September 1st, 1997. Now, Jungkook attended the Seoul School of Performing Arts. Taking a liking to badminton at a young age, she initially aspired to be a professional player. He also studied Taekwondo, eventually becoming a black belt. But like all other members, he found music and eventually gravitated towards it. Now, when he was 13, he was sent overseas to Los Angeles, California to pursue dance training. Now, while he did excel in dance, learning several different styles along the way, he was actually a shy and quiet kid. So shy, in fact, that when asked to sing, he would reportedly start to cry. Now, this resulted in Jungkook almost not auditioning for BTS. He did, however, overcome his fear and put himself in front of Big Hit Entertainment, joining the boy band in 2013. Big Hit Entertainment had found success with the boy band 2AM, but as things were falling apart and interest was waning, well, the company, they were eager to start a brand new boy band. Auditions were first held in 2010 and 2011 with the first official member, RM, hired, and while the group, they went through several changes before finally lining up their 7 members, which was done in 2012. They debuted in 2013 with the hit single, No More Dreams, and the first installment of their school trilogy, Too Cool for School. Now, they began dominating the K-pop scene quickly, breaking into international stardom around 2015. Complete with 6 studio albums, world tours, and numerous awards, the group's celebrity status has shown no signs of slowing down. Since first stepping onto the scene, they've sold a whopping 7 million albums worldwide. Along with unbelievable success in the world of music, the boy band has also been known for their philanthropy. Aside from their support and contributions to the LGBTQ community, the group has been asked to perform in multiple charitable events. In 2018, they were chosen by Stevie Wonder himself to participate in Martin Luther King's Dream Still Lives tribute. And that's just like a tip of the hat of all the amazing things they've done.
The dream still lives, and our dream is that people love themselves.
Unlike most bands that tend to form organically to create music, the Spice Girls were created by music managers through the auditions of over 400 women. Ultimately, 5 were chosen to carry forward: Melanie Brown, Emma Bunton, Melanie Chachome, Jerry Halliwell, and Victoria Beckham.
Somebody sat down at a drawing board and said, let's create an all-girl group, and they've gone out and done it.
Once these women had been settled on, the girls spent the majority of the 1994 practicing the songs and dance routines that were created for them. Their first single, Wannabe, released in 1996, was an instant breakout success. And guess what? It's still going strong over 20 years later, with Spotify announcing by 2016, the track had been streamed the equivalent of over 1,000 years in real time. Over the next 2 years, the Spice Girls would take control of the music industry and release further hits like Say You'll Be There, Spice Up Your Life, and Too Much. Their worldwide tour sold out almost instantaneously, and their merchandise sales were an absolute juggernaut. The girls even starred in their own hit movie Spice World, which would go on to gross over $100 million worldwide. But at the height of their success, Jerry Halliwell left the band due to constant infighting and the demanding schedules that were taking its toll on all of them. But at that point, most of the girls were feeling like it was time for a change.
We had like a 5-year plan that kind of got shortened after 3 years, that we were all eventually going to go our own way anyway. We always knew Victoria was going to go into fashion, Mel C was always going to do music.
The remaining 4 members tried to carry on without Jerry, but it was never quite the same. They released one last album, Forever, but by 2000, they announced they were taking an indefinite hiatus to focus on their individual careers. Since that was over 20 years ago now, let's see how it turned out for them. One by one, start with arguably the biggest name of the group, Victoria Beckham. When Victoria Beckham, aka Posh Spice, joined the Spice Girls, she was still going by her maiden name, Adams. Before the group split though, Victoria would marry soccer legend David Beckham in 1999, and 4 months later, give birth to their first child, Brooklyn Beckham. Once the group went their own ways, Victoria stuck around with Virgin Records to launch her solo career. Her self-titled album was released in 2001 with the single Out of Your Mind, but it's pretty safe to say that the album never really caught on with fans. This lack of musical success would become something of a blessing in disguise for Victoria, because it forced her to try her hand at her other passion, high-end fashion. In 2003, after giving birth to their second son, Romeo, she became the face of rock career and the British ambassador to Dolce & Gabbana. By 2004, she launched her first limited edition high-end line called VB Rocks for Rockin' Republic. Only a few years later, in 2008, she showed her first clothing line collection at New York Fashion Week, and in 2011, she welcomed her 4th child, Harper. The same year, she was named Designer of the Year in the UK. Ever since, she's remained one of the biggest names in the English fashion scene. Alright, next let's take a look at Melanie B. After the woman known as Scary Spice went her own way in 2000, she mounted her own solo campaign. Unfortunately, much like Victoria, it didn't go all that well. Her 2000 album Hot produced 3 underwhelming singles, and her follow-up 2005 LA State of Mind was widely considered a flop. I didn't even know that happened, to be really honest with you. But while music didn't seem to be her destiny, she was able to transform herself into a reality television star by hosting series like This Is My Moment, Top of the Pops, and competing in season 5 of Dancing with the Stars in 2007. In 2013, she landed her most memorable role as a judge in America's Got Talent, where she remained until 2019. In terms of her personal life, Mel hasn't been the luckiest when it comes to her relationships. Her first marriage to a Dutch dancer resulted in the birth of her first daughter, Phoenix, but was over before the Spice Girls even disbanded. Then in 2006, she began a relationship with Eddie Murphy that saw her giving birth to her second child, Angel. But what should have been an amazing moment in her life was marred when Eddie famously denied paternity.
Unable to read the audio version of her book because of her dyslexia, held auditions for the narrator and watched as they read about the man who would ultimately deny being the father of their daughter, Angel, until DNA tests proved otherwise.
Soon after, Mel married Stephen Belafonte and gave birth to their daughter, Madison, in 2011, but this relationship would come to an explosive end in 2017 when Mel filed for divorce, claiming that her husband had been verbally and physically abusive, that he had drugged her throughout their marriage and got their nanny pregnant as well. In 2018, Mel released Brutally Honest, a memoir of her life that chronicled all of these events, including her drug use as well as a suicide attempt. Next up is the woman who brought the whole house of cards down in the first place, Jerry Halliwell, who now goes by Jerry Horner. Ginger Spice, as she was affectionately known, left the group in 1998 after growing frustrations with management and developed a concerning eating disorder.
I'd lost my father, and that's when it all really kicked off. I'd stopped eating, you know, and it was a tool that stopped working, basically. And I think there's a lot of pressure, you know, on all women.
While Jerry's eventual solo career was not widely successful, her early singles like Look At Me and Lift Me Up all ended up in the #1 spot on the UK singles chart. Her first album, Schizophonic, even reached all the way to #4 on the UK album charts. In 1999, she also released her first memoir, If Only, that would be followed by later titles like 2002's Just for the Record and her 2008 children's book, Eugenia Lavender. Jerry would release 2 more solo albums before taking a break from music in 2006 to give birth to her daughter Bluebell with her partner, screenwriter Sasha Gervasi. For a while there, it seemed like Jerry might return to music, but she ultimately decided to go in a different direction. Instead, she started her own swimsuit apparel line, Jerry by Next, and began following in Mel B's footsteps by appearing as a judge on the X Factor UK and Australia's Got Talent. By 2018, she was a judge of her own BBC series, All Together Now, and she married Formula One racing mogul Christian Horner in 2015. 2 years later, she gave birth to their son, Montague. We've got 2 Spice Girls left, and next up is Mel C, otherwise known as Sporty Spice. Stop me if you've heard this one before, but after the group split, Mel C also pursued her own solo career. The main difference being that of all the Spice Girls, Mel C is still the one that has stuck by the field of music the longest, selling over 3 million records as a solo artist. By 2004, Mel C had cut her ties with Virgin, took her career into her own hands by forming her own label, Red Girl Records, where she has released all of her work ever since. In 2009, she gave birth to her daughter, who might just have the sweetest name in the history of this planet, Scarlet Starr, with her boyfriend Thomas Starr. That same year, she made her theater debut in the musical known as Blood Brothers.
They sometimes fight on Saturday night, but never in the week.
Her performance was widely applauded, and she was even nominated for an Oliver Award. In 2012, Mel broke up with Thomas, but would eventually find love again a few years later with a man named Joe Marshall. She spent most of the past few years before lockdown writing and recording more music while touring all over the world. Most recently, she released Melanie C in October of 2020. Finally, we've come to Emma Bunton, also known as Baby Spice. After leaving the Spice Girls and working on her own music, Emma met former R&B singer Jade Jones, and the two have been items ever since. In 2001, she'd released A Girl Like Me, but low record sales made it a commercial flop. Emma then left Virgin and signed to Universal to work on her sophomore album, Free Me, but music was slowly becoming something she was less and less focused on. In 2003, she began appearing regularly on the series Absolutely Fabulous and became a judge on the X Factor as well.
Oh, it's so funny to think there's a baby in there. I mean, it's so close. Well, not really. You just get used to it. Where does all the other stuff go?
By 2006, she was ready to release her third album, Life in Mono, but that album sold quite poorly, and Emma would decide to concentrate on building her family. In 2007, she and Jade welcomed their first child, Beau, and 4 years later, they had another son, Tate. More recently, Emma surprised her fans by releasing an album in 2019 titled My Happy Place. She's also appeared as a presenter on the Great American Baking Show. Now that we've caught up with where they're at individually, what can we come to expect from the Spice Girls in the future? Well, after reuniting twice already, once in 2007, when all 5 members came together for the return of the Spice Girls tour, where tickets to their London show sold out in 38 seconds. and then for a second time in 2019, but this time without Victoria Beckham. The rumor mill is churning once again, suggesting that the Spice Girls are getting ready for another world tour in 2021, once this worldwide pandemic is firmly under control, although apparently Victoria will once again not be joining in on the festivities.
Jisoo Kim was born in Seoul, South Korea on January 3rd, 1995. She has an older brother and an older sister. She can speak Korean, Japanese, basic Chinese, and although she doesn't speak much English, she can understand it very well. So if you're watching this, Jisoo, what's up? In school, she was popular, but it wasn't just because of her looks or clothes. She was a kind person to her classmates. Everyone in her family likes to sing, so she was singing melodies from a young age. Jisoo would even dance and sing in front of her entire family during their gatherings. This made her want to perform in front of larger crowds. She can also play the drums and piano. In terms of her musical inspirations, she loves TVXQ, but her talents go beyond music as she is a white belt in Taekwondo. Jisoo is a big Pokemon fan and has always loved Pikachu. She even has a lot of Pikachu merch. Apparently, she also loves telling dad jokes too. I've been a big fan of Pika, and if you've ever watched the show, then you know I love a good dad joke. So I feel like me and Jisoo have a connection. Apparently, Jisoo doesn't know how to use scissors properly, but I guess it doesn't matter because in terms of the group, she made the cut. See what I did there? Yeah, okay, I'll go. But besides Pokemon goods, she doesn't like shopping because she never knows what to buy, and she's also scared of heights. For fun, she likes to play with her dog named Dalgum, likes to play Overwatch, and read manga. She also likes to write in her diary as a form of stress release and has been doing so for about 2 to 3 years now. When she was old enough, she pursued that dream and auditioned for the YG Entertainment trainee program and was accepted in the summer of 2011. Jennie Kim, aka Human Gucci, was born an only child on January 16, 1996 in South Korea, but she moved to Auckland, New Zealand when she was just 10 years old to study abroad. When she was young, her nickname was Jerry, based on the show Tom and Jerry, and she was also called Manduki because of her cheeks. Apparently, they looked like dumplings, which in Korean is mandu. She's fluent in Korean, Japanese, and English and lived and studied in New Zealand at the ACG Parnell College. While attending school there, she was interviewed for a documentary that made her the first of the group to ever appear on TV. While in New Zealand, she began to listen to K-pop music and decided that she wanted to become a singer. Jennie learned how to play the piano and the flute while she worked on her vocals, but she also studied more contemporary music like Lauryn Hill and TLC. For fun, she's interested in photography, designer clothes, and also likes to hang out with her puppies, Kai and Kuma.
Oh my God!
She had the plan to move to the US and told her mom that she wanted to have a career in music. So Jennie headed back to Korea and began to audition for musical roles. One of the places that she auditioned for was YG Entertainment. She signed on as a trainee in August of 2010. Rose, aka BLACKPINK's goddess, was born Roseanne Park on February 11, 1997 in Auckland, New Zealand, but was raised in Melbourne, Australia. Her mother was a businesswoman and her father was a lawyer, and she also has an older sister named Alice, who is also a lawyer now. But Rose was always interested in music, learning how to play the piano and guitar, and joining an Australian church choir when she was younger. It was in Melbourne that she attended Centerburg Girls Secondary College and was also a cheerleader at one point. In terms of her musical influence, she really looks up to Gummy. She also cites Malibu Nights by the band Lainey as an inspiration.
I wish I could be able to listen to a song and be able to find the chords for it and just play it like on the spot.
She has no dogs, but she does have a pet fish named Orange. She hates avocados because of their mushy texture. I completely agree, but I do like guacamole, it's just a better texture. For fun, she likes to play guitar, draw, and ride her bike. Eventually, Rose moved to South Korea to chase after her dreams of becoming a professional singer. And her dreams weren't just some far off plan, she was working for them. But it was actually her father who booked her a ticket to the city where the audition for YG Entertainment was being held. In an interview, she said, "I used to live in Australia. It was a rural neighborhood rather than a metropolis, so I stayed home playing the piano or the guitar and singing. My dad noticed that I liked music, so he took me to the audition. Before I auditioned, music had been a hobby, but once I came to Korea and realized where I stand in terms of skills, I became more passionate and competitive about it." But it was no easy task to successfully make it through those auditions. The odds of actually making it through were allegedly 700 to 1. But after getting to the audition, she was that one. She signed on with YG Entertainment in May of 2012. Lisa, aka the Thailand Princess, was born Lalisa Manoban as an only child on March 27, 1997 in Bangkok, Thailand, and is the youngest member of the group. Originally, her name was Pranpriya and her friends called her Pokpak, but after getting a fortune telling, she changed her name to Lalisa, which means the one who is praised. She attended Prafamantri 2 school. Her stepfather Marco Bruchweiler is a top certified Swiss chef in Thailand, but apparently it didn't get passed down because everyone in the group says that Jenny is the best cook. Instead, Lisa was interested in dancing ever since she was young. When her mom saw how good she was, she enrolled her in dance classes.
Lisa.
She wanted to sing too, so she practiced, but it was Lisa's rapping ability that set her apart. Looking up to American rappers like Tyga because of their swag, she learned how to flow over beats. Lisa moved to Seoul in middle school. She's childhood friends with GOT7's Bam Bam, and the two danced together in the same crew called Weeza Cool. While Lisa doesn't have any dogs or goldfish, she does have 2 cats named Leo and Luca. In 2010, Lisa passed her audition for YG Entertainment and signed on as a trainee in April of 2011. Although now she can speak English, Japanese, Thai, basic Chinese, and Korean, she admitted that she barely spoke any Korean when she first started, so she had to take Korean classes every day. She thanks the other members of the group for helping her learn the language. Alright, so now that you know the girls, let's take a look at how they all came together as a group. In 2010, massively successful Korean music exec Yang Yeon-suk, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, revealed that he was putting together a girl group. For those of you who don't know much about the YG Entertainment Group, first of all, it's not owned by the rapper from LA, and second of all, it's sort of like a boot camp for superstars. For aspiring artists who are lucky enough to be handpicked for the trainee program, their work is only beginning. They are trained in performance, song structure, dancing, singing, and every aspect of becoming a superstar. And it's not just like an after-school program. You train for 12 hours a day, and in X Factor-like competition, you're performing alongside 10 to 20 other aspiring artists. And not everyone would get to stay. Some artists would be sent home if they weren't performing up to par. In a way, it's like a label because you are under the company's umbrella. But on the other hand, they focus heavily on artist development, a lot more than most American labels do today. So, after all 4 of the girls were signed, they each began to get their chance at exposure through commercials, guest appearances on songs, and other opportunities to show their skill set. But like in baseball, it's up to you to perform in the minor leagues to get your shot at a debut in the MLB. For BLACKPINK, when they all arrived separately, each of the group's members began to build their own portfolio. Jisoo had been working hard on her craft for a long time, spending 5 years training with YG Entertainment. She was also scouted by an agent at a competitor, SM Entertainment, while ironically attending a YG Entertainment concert, but turned down the offer as she had already accepted a deal with YG. During her training days, Jisoo became close friends with Nayeon from the group Twice and Seulgi from the group Red Velvet. Jisoo appeared in commercials with actor Lee Min-ho and was even featured in music videos for Epic High's songs Spoiler and Happy Ending. She appeared in his High-End's I'm Different, she had a cameo on KBS's The Producers, she was an MC for SBS in Kagayo's Super Concert, and in commercials for Nikon and the LG Stylus 2. When she appeared on the Korean series Running Man, she helped boost their ratings to an all-time high. Jenny says that for her, the training was stricter than school. When Jisoo met Jenny, she thought she was very stylish, but Jenny was a little bit more skeptical. She thought that Jisoo didn't know what she was doing. But it only took a day before she was proven wrong and says her talent shined through pretty clearly. In fact, Jenny said that when she heard Jisoo's ability to harmonize, she was blown away, telling Billboard, Jisoo would be the quiet one, but then she'd be like, how about this? She'd make this harmony and we were like, that's so good. She'd stay quiet and act like nothing happened. And then in an hour, she'd say, how about this? And she'd have another amazing harmony. Even to this day, I'm like, I can't find the harmony. Jisoo, what is it? Jenny starred in the music video for G-Dragon's song That XX and was featured in Lee Hi's special and Big Bang Soon Glee's GGB. She also acted in Sprite and beer commercials and became a regular cast member on the show Village Survival the 8. When Rose began training, she would call her parents crying because of the rigorous schedule and high expectations. Rose said that at first she was a little bit confused as to what she should be doing at YG, so the other members gave her tips and helped usher her in. When she first arrived, the 4 of them all bonded together over an all-night jam session. She trained for 4 years and 2 months and worked tirelessly on her craft. She was a contestant on The King of Masked Singer, which was actually the inspiration for Fox's show Masked Singer. On the show, she made it past the first round but got eliminated in the next one, losing by just 1 vote. She also collaborated with G-Dragon for their song Without You, but since her name wasn't listed on the song when the album dropped, she still remained relatively unknown. Rose had the shortest period of training and was announced as the final member of BLACKPINK. In 2012, YG released a video of Lisa dancing without giving her name out, and fans were excited about her potential. Lisa trained for 5 years and 3 months, starting in middle school. She plays the ukulele and learned how to play guitar after Rose taught her during their training days. She also appeared in Big Bang Taeyang's Ring-a-Ling-a music video as a cast member on the show Real Men 300 and in ads for the fashion brand Nona Gone. Lisa described the training process to Billboard as, "We all tried rapping, we all tried singing, we all tried different kinds of styles and performances, so we naturally found our perfect spot." She said that there were a lot of trainees coming in and out of the program, but one by one those artists left, and it ended up just being the 4 members of the group. Once Lisa was officially announced as a part of the group, her parents were so happy for her to see her 6-year journey finally become worth it. The group of 4 girls was paired with producer Teddy Park, who's a rapper, songwriter, and record producer who has been signed to YG Entertainment since he flew out to South Korea during a summer vacation with his friend when they were just 17 years old. Since then, he's been a part of some massive hits, but perhaps none bigger than the ones he's produced and written with BLACKPINK. But not all of the members were confident that they would break through and debut. Jennie admitted that she was terrified her shot would never come. And there's the answer to your question from the beginning of the video. She was wrong. The shot came, and it came in a bigger way than any of the girls could have imagined. In June of 2016, BLACKPINK debuted for the first time as a group, becoming the first girl group to debut under YG Entertainment in 6 years. And the reception, well, let's just say it was pretty good. Their first 2 singles charted at number 1 and 2 on the Billboard World Digital Song Charts, becoming the fastest act to do so. BLACKPINK signed a record deal with Interscope Records, who is now a creative and business partner to YG Entertainment. The group became the highest charting female K-pop group, landing at number 55 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart with Do, and number 40 on the Billboard 200 album chart with their EP Square Up. They made their US television debut on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert on February 12th. As for the future, the group plans to release a new album together and continue touring for their blinks all around the world. And the individual members will also be dropping solo work, as each member is set to drop individual music. Jennie told Billboard, "We all had to know how to perform on our own, that's always been there." And with their success, the group has given back a lot to their communities. In early April of 2019, each of the 4 members donated 10 million won to the Hope Bridge Association of the National Disaster Relief for victims of the Sokcho wildfire in South Korea. Jennie said to The Hollywood Reporter, "It's such an honor to be receiving so much love, and we never want to take this moment for granted. We feel very blessed, and we hope to see you guys soon."